Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are premiering, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to David Abendroth, Lots of Balls, Mitch Kennedy, Original D-Rose, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twad Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, JMelds24, Unimento, M, Iron26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Golden McKinnon, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Bogey, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Mel B. Styles, Harry Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Rob W., Del West Watson, Reese Pound, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is on Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
I can show that with two differential accelerations and point out how it's all based on G and make a whole audience believe that I've just shown with gravity how this person is wrong. This stupid flat earther. That's why it's important. Because
thank you, Brian.
That's the whole point of it. That's why the Flat Earth Society claim it. Because the one thing that's easy to debunk it with, even though the thing is not real, you can debunk it with something that's not real. But if you have the maths,
right,
and that you, for an audience, you can make it look like you've just debunked it with gravity. That's why it's a danger.
Then that's what's worth challenging, that bit. Not their bullshit claim. But then as soon as the baller makes his gravity claim, then we'll have a bang on that. That's worth a go. Because at the least that's got some kind of coherent claim to it. This is just bunkum. You're just throwing shit out of a window.
Yeah, but it's too late then, Adam, because that happens on a big documentary.
Right. So what happens if
you understand what I mean?
No, I know, but you're putting a claim in yourself. You are going in there saying, no, you knobheads. That's not what's happening. This is what's happening in your bullshit throwing shit out of a window quasi experiment. Why? Just don't give any response to it. It doesn't serve a purpose. Just point out there's nothing to comment on. You've thrown shit out a window.
Right, like when I made that claim about particle physics, there was no need responding. It was stupid. We all moved on.
Got more validity.
I think it needs addressing.
I'll address it. Observe natural phenomenon, please.
Well, why don't you get Dell on a one-on-one and do that?
Observe natural phenomenon, please. I'm addressing it.
You see?
I'm not Dell.
No, Neil, but you see, I'm humouring it more than John even will. Brian wants to take them back to school and just be really fucking kind and go, no, they're retard. That's not what's happening. It's not an upward acceleration when you throw shit out a window. This is what it means. Let me take the pain away for you. Don't do it, Brian.
Brian, one day they'll listen to us. One day.
I tell you what, if you want to sound coherent explaining that, good luck to you.
Yep.
You're
Guys,
only
we may be recorded right now, right?
Yeah? You're only going to make yourself sound stupid.
Hey, Nathan's back.
He was back a long time ago.
I just seen him. Get it?
That's it. Reflect from the statement. Neil, you go on air and address it and explain it to the public. Yeah? I wouldn't touch it with a fucking barge pole. Yeah? On air, because it's just nonsense. You're not going to come out of it looking good. You're just going to come out of a clusterfuck. It's like discussing the horizon in the Isle of Man stuff. Nothing to discuss. Got me on a right eye horse, that, hasn't it? Yeah.
Nathan, radio check.
Yeah, just don't include me in the
Like I said,
conversation
we're
for
being
now.
recorded.
I'm just monitoring things.
We missed you. Somebody rumpushed you. Probably a potato eater.
I said, can you talk amongst yourselves? Just because I'm a little bit busy, just monitoring things.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I figured. All right. What are we going to talk about amongst ourselves?
Bell's experiment.
What experiment?
Is free fall an
Cavendish.
What experiment? You guys know the drill, right? Do I have to be here for this?
Dude, free fall is instantaneous, faster than the speed of light, is what I heard somebody say.
No. That's incoherent to my question, unless you didn't listen to me. Observe natural phenomena, please. I guess I'm going to have to do it.
Coconuts.
Out of a tree.
So we got coconuts.
Coconut milk. Right.
Coconut milk now.
Yeah, when I open my coconut, yeah, and leave it to set, it on the side, pour it all out, it settles. Yeah. And I want to know why it's not settled when my coconut falls.
How do you know it's not settled when it's fallen?
That's what I want to know. Is it mixing up as it goes down, or was it a mixed one? Why is it mixed when I get it off the ground? What's going off? Is it
That's
just with
not
it
a
hit the
natural
ground?
phenomenon. That's not a natural phenomena. That's a conjured phenomena.
No, coconuts hit the ground.
No, coconuts hit the. So, okay, independent or dependent variable. Coconuts hit the ground. What's the cause? Independent variable.
No. I'm moving forwards from that.
No.
I've got the coconut. I've got the coconut, and I've opened the top of the coconut, and I've gone to drink it, and it's all cloudy.
I'm gonna have to red line you.
Then the next day, because I picked 2 coconuts up that fell, I opened it up, and that one wasn't cloudy. And I want to know why. Sometimes coconut milk is cloudy, and sometimes it's clear with bits in the bottom.
So what's the dependent variable, please?
Bits.
I'm gonna pick writing your ass.
I know. If
Coconut milk differential, really?
Yeah. It's the best I can do with what I'm working on. It's not that these are the tools. Don't blame the workman. I don't know why I'm trying to crowbar it in, but because my point was, even if you could eulogize it to that, what is the experiment that we're being shown? What I would say, Brian, if you're there, because it's dead. If I was gonna address anything, the biggest misunderstanding I can see is what you've raised, which is their non-understanding of acceleration, and a simple claim that if something's traveling at 9.8 meters per second in a straight line, that is an acceleration. I think that is where they need educating, because that seems to be a fault within their understanding when they make the claim. They describe it as an acceleration when it's a constant speed.
I was gonna say you better square that monkey.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, but the problem is that we can show differential rate because there is an acceleration when you drop something. If I leave something go, going from stationary to moving fast to actually moving at a fast and then moving faster until it hits the ground, let's just say. So that is an acceleration, right? But I can drop 2 things of different densities and one will accelerate greater than the other from the same height. Or I can drop the same thing from 2 different heights and there'll be a greater impact force from the higher elevation. This is all that matters as far as I'm concerned. There's no need to go any further. I mean, the helium balloon is so simple, people look straight past it. That's the problem. It's so simple, people just look straight past it. People need more explanation than that, unfortunately. Like, if someone said to me, helium balloon, I go, yeah, that's the end of that.
Are
But
you saying?
there's people. Go on.
Are you saying helium balloon is over their head?
Yeah, if you want to use a pun, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, for me, there's like, helium balloon can't go up under those. Here's the problem. They're trying to add in reality into something that isn't reality. So they're going to end up like the borders. You know what I mean? That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, they're explaining a phenomenon that doesn't exist, just like the ballers. I guess that's the whole problem.
Well, obviously the GPU update isn't working. He's not back, correct? I had to step away.
No, he's back.
You're back.
Yeah. So yesterday or the day before, I noticed that there was a graphics card update, but it's one of those things that's been 100% reliable, and I can't see that it's causing any issues. However, when you do have issues, one of the things they say to check is your graphics card drivers. Now, that's a pretty basic thing, but I doubt it'll solve the problem. But I've done it, so who knows? It might solve the problem. If it does, I'll be elated. But I doubt it.
Are you testing it? Are you testing it right now?
Yeah, so what I've done is I've connected live, but I'm not live. So what it's doing is it's taxing it in the exact same way, but I haven't actually pressed go live in YouTube. So it is actually, strictly speaking, streaming to YouTube just without an audience. There's no audience to have because it's not actually streaming through the software on YouTube. But that front end bit of software doesn't affect my system. So as far as my system is concerned, it's been live for 10 minutes. Well, I, strictly speaking, normally start live 5 minutes in this manner before I go live to make sure it's connected fine. And then you go live. Yeah. In other words, you can see if there's a problem 5 minutes before. Well, that's what I've done the last 3 times. Gone live, then 6 minutes later, approximately, the show's crashed. So, within the next 2 or 3 minutes, I'm going to find out if it's even worth going live to members in 5 minutes. But in 5 minutes, if it's still working, I'll then go live to members. Mainly to test it, because it's just embarrassing having a constant public live shows crash. It's the 3rd one in a row. It's embarrassing, so I'm not going to go live to the public. I'll go live to members.
I see. I'm trying to find my pink writing. I can't find the damn thing. I've been trying to find it the whole time. Just so you know.
Yeah, Nathan, while you were gone, I debunked particle physics the same way Dale debunked relative density disequilibrium.
Yeah, probably on Tuesday, maybe on Wednesday. We'll see. Next week sometime, John.
Hello, William. Deborah, it was amazing.
Maybe dropping.
We didn't hear.
Did he drop?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just asking if John dropped to rejoin.
Definitely dropped.
All right, I found the pink writing.
Love the pink writing. So Dell is conscious.
Are you trying to hold me to this?
That's what you're saying?
We can't hear anything when Neil's mic opens up.
No.
I try to tell him, he's just not listening.
You trying to hold me to this coconut hypothesis?
Not really. I kind of forgot about that. I just went to find the pink writing.
I'll make it clear now, John. I do not want to defend this.
Right, when I should be probably paying most attention to what's going on with the computer. Did you find those transparent coconuts or what?
You're still looking.
Maybe Arwen can go through his waterfall example.
Stage. That's the experiment stage. Invisible, see-through coconuts. You make them out of transparent aluminium, obviously.
Didn't they have that on Star Trek?
Yeah, Scotty takes it back in time, that knowledge, and gives it to the guys so they can build a tank big enough to fit a whale.
That's correct. I thought I remembered that in transparent aluminum. You see what I'm talking about? I'm going to make
science.
That's science. Yeah. I think we're going to have to go back to the pink writing, Nathan. I think that's going to have to come back in style.
Causing feedback, Adam.
Sorry. I think it's highly relevant, John, in this case. And that's what I was trying to say. If we're going to deal with something, let's not have a parlor trick. Let's quantify what you're claiming. What's your IV? What's your DV? What's your claim?
Yes, sir.
So when we go live, which will be in a minute, would you prefer that I muted myself so I don't sort of make you all conscious of the fact that we're live because it's only going out to members? Or would you just want me to do it like I would normally and you get to hear it and be on mute?
We want that normal.
You just want to hear me introduce the live show?
Yes. Just do everything normally.
Nothing's normal.
Unfortunately, I got to leave in 2 minutes, but good luck with it, Nathan.
I'm pretty sure within 6 minutes of me pressing this go live button, it's going to crash. We'll see. If it stays working and it's just a graphics card driver update, then that's it, because that's typically the way of things. They release a new driver and suddenly the old one stops working. That has happened to me before, so it's not outside the realms of possibility that this will just work after just doing a graphics card driver update. I'm sure I've said this already. I'm just hoping.
You're hoping. Speaking of that transparent aluminum, most people can see through that parlor trick.
No trick. Real. Scotty travelled back in time to gift that to humanity.
Really? We're back. We're into that time moves slower the higher you go. Is that
because don't they have to slingshot around the sun to time travel?
That's right.
Yeah.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Members Only Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are after the fact and new to this channel, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you want to partake in these members only live streams. Now this is the third attempt in a row for a stream that goes live, but after the third live public stream, I'm going to do this members only because it's just embarrassing having constant computer crashes during live streams. So if you are a member enjoying this, welcome. We are joined by Righteous Force, Matthew, Neil, Quantum Eraser, the Adam Meakin, Brian, Arwin, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Good morning.
Hard.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Today.
Bastos los muchachos.
What I'm going to do with the live stream that went out earlier to the public, which was only 6 minutes long, is leave it because it actually has a fairly concise description of a geometric tangent point horizon claimed by the Triggered Limey, and it was also discussed on the previous show that also crashed. So rather than constantly rehashing the same point about the same comment about the same tangent point that was debunked in 2020, I'm just going to leave that 6 minute stream up. Why the hell not? So that's what I'm going to do. Hopefully this stream will go up for a full hour to the live members. Hello out there, by the way, members. Who we got with us? We've got Divergent Droid. He's a member, but he's the mod, isn't he? One Mind, One Spirit. Good to have you. Slow Motion Moon Buggy. Good to see you. Richard G. Godzilla. Thanks for coming. What else we got? Neil, you're on the panel. Zedetic News Network. Good to have you. Hopefully we'll get a few more members joining us. But we are live, just so you know.
My question wasn't rhetorical.
What was your question? I wasn't even listening. I'm more concerned with this computer.
Bastos los muchachos.
Ask him to spell that, Brian.
Yeah, I saw that in the Master B in the Master B
Bad
comments.
Spanish.
It's the same thing we started off with the last show. I was quickly snubbed, though.
I mean, we could do a couple of housekeeping questions just to get us in the mood. Is there any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
There's evidence. There's evidence of the R value, but how they got it, that's the question.
From a flat Earth?
Fair enough.
Not really.
Not really fair enough.
No,
not
no,
really
not really. It seems unreasonable that they're using a differential calculator that's basically exploiting the fact that we do live on a flat plane to extrapolate out the idea that we've got a geometric tangent point horizon no one can see below surface level. That doesn't seem fair enough to me.
Well, you go, girl.
Excuse me. Well,
It seemed like the thing to say.
speaking of pink writing, any evidence or scientific evidence of gravity?
Gravity, you'd have to define it first.
Were you saying about getting the pink writing back out for what? I don't know. I wasn't paying too much attention while I was focusing on numbers and dials.
Yes, I did get the pink writing back out. I found it and I made its own file. I think it's time to return to mama.
Well, let's do it. Who's the most well versed in what are we going to ascribe this new? I'm going to just call it gravity, but this new gravity. So we've had 3-dimensional gravity, 4-dimensional gravity, and then on with multiple dimensional gravities. You've got quantum gravity, incoherent dielectric acceleration is just another version of gravity. And now we've got bottle tossed out of a window with a medium within a medium gravity. What are we going to call that?
Acceleration gravity.
Well,
No gravity.
that's general relativity. That's more or less same kind of thing as general relativity. So there's only 5 gravities. There's what they call Newtonian. There's general relativity. There's yet to be clearly defined quantum gravity. There is electric gravity, which is dielectric acceleration, and there is specific gravity, which is relative density.
There's no quantum gravity.
In name only.
Oh, man.
I've very specifically heard people give or ascribe a reification fallacy probably with the title quantum gravity. So while no, yes, I completely agree with you. That was a weird sentence. No,
Well, no,
yes, I agree with you.
Hey,
Yeah,
when I
because-
hold on. I have a logistical question. When I present my screen, do I do entire screen, a window, or a tab?
Depends what you want to
Full
present.
screen.
Depends what part of the screen you want to present.
I want to present the pink writing.
A
Tab.
tab, I would say.
Tab.
Yeah. You should automatically just knock off. I haven't got one, Bill or Bob or whatever his name is.
No, that's not showing. So that's not the correct answer. That's not giving me a choice.
A window, Kiwi, a window, because you want to share. It's going to be something that's off your computer, isn't it? Did you have on your
correct.
computer?
Correct.
A window there.
Ta-da!
Hey, brilliant. Okay, so this is for those of you who are unaware. Go back to any debate past about number 1500, maybe even earlier than that, and you'll come across an abundance of ball-believing muppets coming and telling us that we're science deniers and that they've got scientific evidence for various claims that they make. So as soon as that would get aired, let's say by a baller, in this instance it isn't that we're discussing, but it's not the point. Somebody would say, well, of course we've got science for gravity, we've got Cavendish. And this would pop up on screen and you'd hear from the background, Huey, that's your cue.
Observe natural
And they don't-
phenomena, please.
Exactly. So,
This is the wet fish.
wet fish. Did the
Oh.
nurses see Adam today? Is he okay?
No. When I first met John, this is the thing that felt like I got slapped round the face with a wet fish, because it's even someone with my background. These are the basics that you just leave and forget, and you can get cajoled into doing other things. But this was the wet fish that slapped me around the head and brought me back to reality. Just this simple, very simple, just one screen with pink writing.
It's nice hearing you as an academic say it's just the basics that you get that you know and understand and leave behind. Because I remember asking QE why it's so difficult to find a citation specifically detailing step 1, observe natural phenomena, step 2, formulate a hypothesis, step 3, actualize hypothesis with experimentation, step 4, report or restart if you've validated your null. Why is it so difficult to find that in citation form? And the answer is it's so basic and rudimentary within science that it's almost an insult to a professor in a university to start detailing this. So therefore, you don't often find people detailing it. It's like saying, why don't you find in mechanics university them talking about the H pattern on a gear change? It's like, because they're talking about stripping gearboxes, not about the basics of moving it in and out of first gear. That's so rudimentary to an engineer working on a gearbox that it's never going to get mentioned.
You can find it, but it's in pieces.
Sure, and often there's a baller bias in some of these things as well. Some of the people you will dig out quotes, and I've heard you do it, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. You'll read out the quote, and you'll go, well, that's not quite right, but we'll brush past that. In other words, there's always slight inaccuracies in some of the citations that lean towards their personal bias.
Yes.
So you still, even then, you still have to qualify a lot of the citations to a certain extent because it might have an or instead of an and, for instance.
Yeah, but this
John
is it.
bring this.
Go ahead.
Did John bring this screen up just for that, or is someone claiming something?
Yeah,
No one's claiming
subtle.
coconuts.
Very subtle, very subtle. No, there is a claim. I mean, that's what I was going to ask right at the beginning of the live show. We're still live, by the way. What's it been? 10 minutes?
It's
6?
been more than 6.
More than 6, yeah.
Why'd you have to say anything?
Which kicks me off.
Just
for what
shut up
you know
and
what I mean.
continue.
Should be it.
Go on, whoever that was. Is that Matthew?
It was Neil.
Oh, Neil. Go ahead.
Said don't jinx it.
Here's the
Keep going.
section just right.
Neil, you can't be on a show with your radio on in the background. I mean, bloody hell, mate. Seriously. You've got the radio on.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. It's got the radio on in the background. What's next? Sat watching the EastEnders with popcorn. Yeah, I'm on the show. Just watching the telly. You're right, lads.
I'm trying to get in between my brother's radio. Sorry. Just shut up and keep the show going and don't jinx it.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks for the advice. It's not like I got enough stress. Okay, yeah, 11 minutes to live show. That's better than nothing. Can't really grumble. Strictly speaking, it's been connected live for 26 minutes, which I'm, as you can hear, I am aghast that a simple graphics card update has managed to solve that problem. It might not.
Jinx that now.
It's just going to crash immediately now I've said that. But so far, it's still working, right? So all I've done is update the graphics card drivers. Literally, that's all I've done. Okay, it seems to be working, though. There we go. Whatever, I don't care. Fine. So yeah, this pink writing, go back circa show 1000, I guess, maybe there or thereabouts. And there was a turnaround. There was a certain point in Flat Earth debate where the assertion that we were science deniers got left by the wayside in respect to our opponents, that is, their accusations aimed towards us of being science deniers were left by the wayside because of the pink writing. Because any time some fool came here and started to claim we were either science deniers, we go, well, what science are you offering? What do you mean? What have we denied? Let's hear it. Oh, of course you're going to deny Cavendish immediately. Oh, yeah. Observe natural phenomena.
It was in response to the circle jerk, because what would happen they would change their story midstream, and it happened many times on the pink writing shows, if you'd remember correctly. I'd have to go back and erase and then come back again. Okay, what's the observed natural phenomena again?
The one that sticks in my
And
mind
there
the
would
most
be
was Kosho with Gravity, and he basically went through the process and then started to do the old switcheroo with the, oh, no, that's not the phenomena, that's the cause. Like, we established what your phenomena was. We wrote it down. It's on screen. There's 150 people looking at it. So you had to do that because they'd just change it. No, I didn't say it was the cause. No, it's actually the effect now. But you just literally switched it to the cause 2 minutes ago. No, I've always said it's an effect. It's the effect of it. Because it's called that. But I also need it to be the cause.
This is what I remember. It's on screen.
Yeah, you get that a lot. It's on screen. Everyone can see it. It's there in the pink writing. But that's where that process led us to certain ways of disseminating how they categorize their claims scientifically. For example, with Cavendish, the pink writing led us to this particular assertion in terms of mass that we may not have got to, because, no offense to QE, but he's going to stop you in your tracks if you start claiming mass, and you'll be into defining it before you get into the pink writing, offering you up this tool to lead a baller down a path of declaring that your phenomena is mass, your independent variable's mass, the result is mass, it's all mass. So you end up with a hypothesis that was constructed thus: if mass, then mass attracts mass. That's where we got that from. That's from the pink writing. I think that might have even been Kosho.
Wow, I can't remember. There were so many shows we did this, man. Why'd we ever stop? I don't know.
Oh, it's because of the Black Swan. So the Black Swan came, and we subtly got suppressed down the YouTube algorithm. Simultaneously, everyone around us was losing arguments that they came here to try and win, and were being left like people like Bob. You know, they'd come in and try and make an appointment to see us on the show, and we're like, where's your tangent point? When can I make an appointment? Well, people like that obviously got sick of me trimming out their, embarrassing 16 renditions of where's your tangent point, where's your tangent point, well, I'll just make an appointment to come next week then, shall I? And then eventually, I haven't got one. Well, those are embarrassing, and they just stop wanting to come. So they blame me for being able to mute people. It's like, no, you all lost arguments here, so you stop coming. Ruhif, right? Is it the mute button? Or is it because we're asking him where the geometric tangent point horizon he told us was refracted is? It doesn't exist. It's been utilising a flat plane all along. Do you think if it was just because of the mute button, he wouldn't be on every other show disseminating his argument? No, he can't. It's embarrassing. Why? Well, because we took it apart. So they can't come anymore. So therefore, there's no numpties to put the pink writing in front of. We'll have to do it on their behalf. And I'm not saying Dell's a numpty, but I'm just saying in this respect, we'll have to figure out who's the best at postulating or disseminating his information as they understand it. Because Dell's not here to put it up on the pink writing. He's, from what I understand between you guys, not that I necessarily care, I will assume, without watching, that Dell's critique of the show was in regards to the claims that he is making and our critique of his claims. In other words, because we're on track, there would be no reason for Dell to disseminate or to sync to a personal level in regards to any of the panel members. But from what I understand, having not watched it, he was mostly critiquing Brian and Arwin. But hopefully not in any personal way. I'm just hoping he's just kept on track like we would want to, and dealt with some of the points that were raised. Did he? Anybody know?
I only tuned in, and I can only say thank you, Dell. The only bit I heard was in response to something Brian said. Brian said, "Oh, Adam's said this," and Dell paused it and said, "Oh, the great Adam. Let's hear what the great Adam's going to say." So, thanks for that. I appreciate that compliment, Dell. That's all I've heard.
Other than a backhanded
yeah.
compliment for Adam, does anybody know of any critique in regards to what was discussed amongst you guys specifically that he addressed, or offered any rebuttals for, or offered any new claims for?
I haven't heard it, Nathan. What I heard about it was
No, stop.
It,
No, don't get into a long-winded explanation about what you heard about it third party. Has anybody watched Dell's critique of our show?
Yes, I did. I did.
Right. Notice how, because there's a potential for some bad vibes here, it's become our show.
And if you can read my comment, it was like a 15,000 character, 10,000 word dissertation chopping his head off. And I'm waiting for a reply, but it got highlighted. I don't know who highlights these things, but it got highlighted with two thumbs up. So I don't know whether someone else highlighted it, YouTube highlighted it, or
Let's
he
hear it.
highlighted
Read it out.
But
I'll shout out JML's super chat, and then let's hear your comment. I mean, obviously, if it is actually a 5-page, maybe not, but I'm sure it isn't. I'm sure you're exaggerating.
Basically, cut things.
Just one sec.
Just to
Shout
make
out
it
to
short.
JML's 24. Says, I've been busy. 4 more hours. We're lucky to get 4 more minutes of the state of things at the moment, but thank you for the super chat.
These are the 3 points I made. I said, number 1, I don't care whether you're talking lateral, up and down, backwards, forwards, bouncy, wouncy, spin around, shake a hip, whatever. The earth is not moving. Secondly, no one from FED claimed, or even Strawman claimed, anything about earth movement. All we did was reiterate what you are now stating and claiming, which is the same thing. The nonsensical claim that the earth is moving. I don't care whether you're saying spontaneously, accelerating, expeditiously, or slow motion. It doesn't matter. We're not moving. That's basically what I broke it down. And I said, you're welcome to come on the show if you want to bring that smoke, because you seem a little frustrated and you seem like you want to vent. So here's Divergent Droid gave me the link, and I gave him the Discord link, and I said, welcome, come on, speak your mind. So that's just roundabout what I told him.
Very good, D-Rose. Very good.
Because I didn't like the fact it wasn't. Excuse me. I'm sorry. It wasn't about just his claim, and I know this is redundant, but it was all about the insults. The ad homes got to the point where he was like, really, being very disrespectful, calling us this and that, calling Nathan specific names, and I expect that, because that's what McToon and all the other guys do. But something about the way he did it was almost like, I don't know, it was a little bit more agitating to me. So
didn't do that to me, D-Rose. Called me great.
Let's pull up the video. Let's hear
Brian. It seemed like
well, let's hear it.
Not until we've had it.
Let's hear
it. I'm sure the video's lengthy, right?
Yeah,
I'd rather anybody at all gives us an idea about what he's particularly offering in the argument before we go to the
only
video.
way to do it. Listen, we've had problems ever since the beginning when this started up about receiving information right from the horse's mouth, right? So I don't know whether Dell's the horse, but it sounds like he's one of the horses. So the only way we can get clarity is to watch his presentation or the video and not others, comments underneath the video and just arbitrary shit. Let's get to the fucking crux of the biscuit.
Thanks, Ryan, please.
Exactly.
Okay, I've just had a message here. Hold on. I've got some clarity on the situation. Hold on. I'm just reading this message. It says, yes, Dell is indeed a horse.
In a quarter mile, merge onto Georgia.
Good, nice traffic update.
And QE.
I will say, right, I think it was just before QE Live the other day, the video come out. I said, have you seen it, QE? And I still haven't seen it. And he just started laughing and went, he's done an analysis video of flat Earth debate. I love that man. I love the cut of his jib. So his man crush has only grown more because of this.
Sickening.
And it's very good, QE, that you said what you said, because that's one of the things I said. I said, if you have a problem with the misconstruing of your claim, or if you're trying to say we're straw manning your claim, I said, don't get mad at us. get mad at the messenger. Go holler at the messenger, because all we're doing is verbatim criticizing the claim, whether it came from you or whomever you sent over to us, which was that guy who got on there. I think he got on our main chat thread and started sparking us up a few days ago, or maybe a week ago. I don't know exactly when. I said, but come to us if you want to clear this up.
What's the claim?
That he was trying to say that Brian, with so many ad
No,
homes,
not the Brian. No. What is the
He-
claim?
I don't know. You have to ask Dell. I'm not.
See,
I'm-
that's
This is a
what
big
I'm talking
problem,
about.
right? You want me to? You're saying let's look at the video, but if this is it,
Yes.
if that's it, if it's just Adam is amazing, Brian isn't, Nathan is obviously amazing. He's not going to say anything other than that, obviously.
Hey, okay. To make
If
to
there's
make it
anything
short, he was
else,
saying,
something we could get our
he was
teeth
saying-
into.
he was saying he never said the Earth accelerated upwards. He was breaking down the difference of an object. He was giving an example of the car motion this way and the helium balloon goes that way. He was saying everything.
I totally
contradicting
understand it now. I totally understand the claim now. What the fuck?
No swearing, please. We are live.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Quick shout out to Godzilla37. Says, my first super chats went down with your PC, apparently. Here's a new one. Hi, Neil. Yeah, well, they did get on air. I did put them on. They did make it into the 6-minute live stream that is now going to be retitled something to the effect of Triggered Limey versus Bob the Science Guy. What is it? No Atmo Day. Something like that. But your super chats are on screen, so I'm not going to remove them.
Hey, I have to pop out for a minute. I'll be back in about 3/4 of an hour.
I don't give a shit.
Well, I
See you later, Brian.
Seem important by saying it. See you later.
See you later. Should we just?
I wouldn't like Dale to come in. I mean, if there's a chance to learn something about the natural world, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But I would like to hear it.
But that's what I'm saying. Right, so Delta Friendly, he's on our side. Now, he might be pissed because we're critiquing his stuff. Now, I'm sure we can all get over that. And I know Del reasonably well from seeing his videos. I've interacted with him a couple of times. I'm sure he's reasonable as much as any of us when we're under the amount of pressure we are under as flat earthers. And Del's going to be subject to that too, so he might be a bit tetchy, he might be a bit short-tempered. However, if there's something to learn here or something we don't understand, it'd be nice to hear it. And if somebody from Del's side, there's a specific reason that the show intro's got express your views on the nature of Earth. It's not that we necessarily hear... let's put a different spin on it. When I look up at the sky and go, I wonder what that is, if someone says, I think I know, I'd love to hear it. That's exciting. Now, if they come and go, based on my bullshit notions that I've made up, I think it's this. What do you think is going to happen? Right? But in this case, I don't fully understand what's being claimed. Now, if I've misrepresented it because of my lack of understanding of it, well, it'd be great if somebody who does understand it, that Del's passed the information to, that's understood his concise explanation, comes on and goes, look, this is what he's trying to get across. You're not watching enough of Del. No, I'm not. Well, but I do run a show about the nature of Earth, and if somebody's so passionate that they feel this is something we should know about, someone eventually will come on and go, this is how it's working, you guys just don't understand. Hopefully with, without a derogatory tone in their voice.
Well, I listened to 15 minutes and Del said if he's got any problem, come and see him. But he knows where Flat Earth Debate is. He could come on.
Why would he assume that there's a problem?
The problem is that he can't prove the presupposition.
But that's very much
That's
a
it.
him problem, isn't it? That's his problem.
Yeah.
Well,
And
what
he's
saying is,
complaining about it.
if anybody causes me a problem, come to me. Is that what he's saying?
Man, he was acting like bring that smoke, you dumb motherfucker.
There isn't any smoke to bring.
That's how he was coming.
But what smoke?
He was coming hard.
What smoke?
Yeah, I
We're
mean,
saying with...
It's all feelings. Del was just really riled up. It's
Hold on,
springtime.
hold on. What smoke? We're literally saying if we don't understand something, we want to understand it, right? Now, it ends up being the case that when you haven't got much to back up what you're claiming, you're going to get annoyed with us, right? You only have to look at the incoherent dielectric acceleration kerfuffle to know that people don't like us pulling apart their claims when they don't have much evidence to back them with. Now, if Dell's suggesting that he already knows he's on a weak or hiding to nothing or whatever you want to phrase it as, and he's like, but if you want to challenge that, come to me. No, I'm not that interested. But if you've got something good, I'm keen to hear it. You know, or if somebody's like, well, Dell's not going to come to you, why would he? Well, I'm not asking him to. I'm saying I'd like to understand what's being explained. If it's important stuff, somebody somewhere will come and go, this is how it works. Dell's explained it, and Dell's good at explaining stuff, so I understand it. It's really easy. Here you go. If you'd have watched, you'd have understood it.
He's not good at explaining things. In the first 15 minutes, he draws a diagram and goes through his whole claim. I think you should just watch it.
I've got a 5-minute bit here, which I think kind of outlines the position a little bit. This is the bit where I joined in because I was just searching for the bit where this guy's on the roof, running around on the car park. So that's the bit I tuned in at. And I've just had a quick listen. Maybe it might give us an idea.
Well, just before you do, I'll just make you aware. I'm gonna make this show public, so it's members only currently. But as it's working, I don't see any reason why I can't shove it out to the rest of the public.
Look, Nathan, shall I send you this timestamped and then you can pause it?
You can carry on because I'm doing stuff now. I'm changing titles of the show and stuff. So, can anybody know? Does anybody know the number of the last show? Because I'm going to use the same number. What was the last show that went out live called?
Not sure.
Hold on.
I think it's 1891.
It's 1891.
Should I call this 1892, given that we've had 3 1891s already?
That's a good one.
I'm going to call this 1892.
You're outside the convention of counting there.
I am slightly working outside the
Just
convention
call
of
it
normal
C.
counting. Yes.
1890C.
And by the way, I went and got the video with the timestamp, starting with FED per Dell. It's in Master B.
Can you follow those, Adam? Or if I don't get on with this, I'm being distracted already. Let me just it's probably all crashed while I'm going to change it to public.
Have you got timestamps, you say? Okay.
I got a timestamp. This is when he first starts with FED. It is at 39:56.
39. Well, I've got 1:39:21. That's where I'd kind of found it. But 39.
39:56.
56.
You'll see the infinity mirror.
Just FYI, we are now going out to the general public live, just so you know.
Cool. Well, I'm queued up, so whenever you want me to start, just tell me, Nathan, and chat if you want me to start.
I was ready 5 minutes ago.
We've still not said start, though, have you?
Go ahead, Adam, whenever you are ready, given it's you with the play button. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to wait for Arwin to do it in his Terminator
That's a good point. Good point.
Do it.
Neil
Do it now.
and who else is likely? Neil and Arwin, go ahead. Get it all out right now. Go ahead.
What, I need to do it a third time?
Rumpus.
Do
I
it.
didn't
Do
say
it
I didn't
now.
say a word.
Come on, get to the chopper.
Perfect. Tell us that you didn't interrupt.
Calculation.
You've got it. And Brian, let's get it all out.
That's not what's going to happen, because other mathematics that's there can just be inverted. So the claim of an object accelerating towards the Earth can just be inverted to be decelerating, losing its initial speed.
Pop him on pause. Can you just check do the YouTube slider for the volume down about 10-20%? It's just a bit loud.
And he's not starting at the beginning either. You need to start at the beginning.
Just let Adam do it the way Adam wants to do it.
He's already told me to go to 39. That's where I went to.
Don't pick her about it.
39:56.
Ladies.
Well, I went to 53. He had 3 seconds extra.
Just to remind you
Right.
guys, I just put up on the main chat screenshots of my comment in fragments. Pardon the redundancy of one part.
Thanks. Go, Adam, go.
All right.
Go.
Right, okay. Right, all right. Aye. She's going to jump, Emma, she's going to jump the fence.
This is top quality reaction worth material. Excellent. He's having a little natter with his wife.
It's coming. Just be patient.
Can be used to make us all look stupid and debunk this thing.
The thing that's making you look stupid is when you keep repeating that density is the cause of itself, that density is the cause of its motion through a medium, that the Earth's stationary, right? That's what's going to get it ridiculed, because you're talking through a hole in your arse.
On national television.
Super relevant. Super relevant commentary.
I know.
Well, there's 2 points there, isn't there?
Exactly. Do you want to summarise them, Adam, or do you want me to?
I'll take point one, or the last one.
Go ahead.
Which is the more succinct one, which is that apparently the Earth is moving, or we're the ones that got an issue thinking the Earth isn't moving. And then the first one, you want it?
But the first one is to assert that density is the cause of density, I think he said. Something like that. And then he said that density causes a vector change.
I think we've made that point clear. RDD, relative density disequilibrium. That's what we're saying is going to induce a vector change if we have things where there is a relative density disequilibrium between the object and the medium, and we take that object out of equilibrium. It's going to seek equilibrium.
Sure, but he's challenging the notion that the density affects the vector, the medium density, right? This is something that's been validated scientifically. So there is, as discussed with the pink writing earlier when this stream was members only, a methodology that offers empiricism. So therefore, when we assert the cause of relative density disequilibrium, that would be a vector, any vector, not necessarily up or down, but a vector change. Well, the cause of the vector change was validated scientifically. That was to say that a phenomena was observed. Some things go up, some things go down, some things remain neutral. Well, that's the effect that's being studied. Not induced by man, easy to observe in nature. As described, as the phenomena you would observe in nature. Oh, check out that cloud. Oh, check out that leaf. Yeah? This is a naturally occurring phenomena. Then you suppose the cause of the effect. You formulate a suppositional statement of cause, yet to be validated at this stage. That's called a hypothesis, and it would state that a variation in the density of the medium will induce the natural phenomena observed, and the null, which is a variation in the density of the medium, will not induce any vector change. So you've got both the positive assertion in the form of your suppositional statement of cause and the contrapositive known as the null. Now, the reason it's an empirical statement, as opposed to Dell just hand-waving it and saying it's nonsense to make an assertion in this regard, is because both statements cannot simultaneously be true. You can't have both A cause B, that would be the density of the medium cause the vector change, and A not cause B, variations in density of medium not causing vector change. You can't have both simultaneously be true. Only one can prove true upon experimentation. So you vary the density of the medium. In the case of Anthony, he had an egg in salt water, and he varied the amount of salt, the density of the medium, and induced a vector change. Simple. Well, that was a confirmation, a tick, next to one, not both, of those statements. The alternative hypothesis was confirmed. Now, at that point, you discount, draw a line through, put an X next to the null statement. You have then empirically proven the outcome. The hypothesis has been validated. That is, then, scientific fact. Empirical in nature. So when Dell says, just to say it's relative density, no. We've shown it with experimentation. We're not tossing bottles out of windows. We're formulating hypothesis and then varying and manipulating an assumed cause of the effect to validate either a null or an alternative. Both can't be true. Only one can be. One has been validated, the other discounted. That's the process of science, son. That's how it's done, Jimmy. That's what we've got. Empiricism. I mean, you can hand wave it all you like, but you can probably tell by the tone in my voice. Okay, good for you. Hand wave science. What does that make him, kiddies? What's that? What does it make him if he denies science? Yes, children, what does that make Del? A science denier! That's right, Jimmy. A science denier. You deny science all you like, Del. But that's what we've got. What have you got? Chuck this bottle out the fucking window. Do you? That's lovely, son. Lovely.
On a documentary or something down the line, the reason it can is because one of the things that completely debunks this claim is the fact that there is different acceleration rates for things that are falling from different elevations.
Yes, that's because of surface area and the density of the object and blah, blah, blah. What are you talking about? If I'm standing up a hill and I let a feather go and I let a bowling ball go, the bowling ball hit the ground first. I wonder why. Ooh, this is just basic stuff. What a fucking imbecile. Again, this shows you that they're talking in terms of a vacuum. Like,
Okay, so
things fall at different rates in a vacuum.
well, no. Observe natural phenomena. Yeah? We experience various vector directions of objects in various mediums. Some things go up, some things go down, some things remain neutral. Now you're talking about dropping things. Bowling ball and feather, he just gave us an example, which I believe he has used from various examples I've seen on other people's shows, specifically Flat Sword, shout out to you. Okay. What about the stuff that goes up, Del? Now, we weren't kidding when we said we could just debunk this horse shit with a helium balloon or the clouds. Yeah? Oh, you drop two things. Oh, really? What about the helium balloon? Did that go down? Yeah, that's the end of your argument, Dave. Dave. Who are we talking about? Del. That's the end of your argument, Del. Yeah, not all things go down. Some things go up. But as a phenomena, we can explain why. Yeah? And as for, well, it's the density of the item. No. It's the density of the medium. With respect to the item in it. Relative density. You don't even understand the title by the sounds of things. No, it's very specific. It's in the name. Relative density. And then disequilibrium. That would be the vector described in the phenomena. So we can categorize and disseminate our claims, which aren't necessary. The reason we've gone through this process is simply to debunk gravity in the first instance, but further to that as a discussion point between Anthony Riley, that sleeping warrior, and Arwin, to get a better handle on why things actually occur in our known existence. Not because we need to make any claims about it. We don't. Serves us no purpose. I don't know why you're attacking us on it. We don't serve any benefit. Okay, let's say you prove right when you only drop things and don't observe the things going up. Well, okay. So what? What does that prove? You say it extrapolates out into the Earth moving up. All right. So your cause is Earth moving up. Now, with our cause, the variation and manipulation of the assumed cause of the effect took place in an experiment. The assumed cause was the density of the medium. That was what was varied. Let's see if Del can put his assumed cause of Earth moving up into some form of variation by him, the researcher. Oh, it can't be. It's pie-in-the-sky speculation, incapable of variation or manipulation in any way, shape or form. We just have to accept the supposition without validation, because that's all it is. It's a supposition of cause. Del supposes that the Earth moves up. Well, in science, we have a methodology for establishing whether or not that's the case, Del. You vary and manipulate that which you assume causes the effect and see if it actually causes it or not. We have done this. You have not.
Something I don't even know. It's so difficult to grasp the stupidity that these people keep regurgitating.
Right, which means
we don't need to respond.
We've not really responded to it. We're just stupid.
I'm more than happy, Adam, to just hear the ad homs, just completely ignore them, and just move on to wherever he makes a claim. If it happens to take us 6 minutes to get through all of his stupid ad homs, then okay, so be it. We'll just go through it he'll get silence as a response, and then we'll get to an actual claim and deal with it when it comes.
That the upward moving Earth, right, which is actually claimed to be accelerating itself, which is completely nonsense.
No, it's not. Some people might. I certainly don't. Never have done.
Right. So this, from the bits I've heard, is important. If Dell's making a differentiation that this upward moving Earth is not accelerating, but moving at a constant speed, and I think I've heard that claim also, that when things drop, they don't accelerate to down. If I pick up a brick, it's not accelerating at 9.8 meters per second at that rate. It's just traveling relatively down at 9.8 meters per second, caused by the Earth coming up at 9.8 meters per second. Now, this seems to be contradictable by A-level physics, where you go off to show to yourself what Newtonian gravity acceleration is. So you drop things, ball bearings at different heights, and measure the speed it takes, and you calculate the rate of acceleration. This seems to be demonstrable in the real world, that if we drop something, it's not going at a constant speed, but is subject to an acceleration. Now, we can look at Baumgartner and see that acceleration rate greater than 9.8 and then less than 9.8 in his descent. But to deny that there's an acceleration would be, again, here for me here, denying reality, the things we can observe and measure.
Would it be fair to say that he's claiming that not changing in velocity is causing changes in velocity?
I don't know. All I'm hearing is it's not an acceleration, it's a speed, constant speed.
Still a cause that he's asserting, though, isn't it? It's a supposition of cause, isn't it? The thing's going down.
Yeah, because they're not going down. The Earth's coming up.
Right.
From what I'm hearing. Yeah,
Right, every time it's
it's
clarified, Adam, I'm just going to repeat Quantum Eraser's sentiments on this. This is easily debunked with a helium balloon.
Exactly. If that's the claim, fundamentally, yes. Because even if we've not got an acceleration, we've just got a constant speed. Why does the helium balloon go up? It should just stay there and wait for the Earth to catch it up, shouldn't it?
Right. But further to that, it's a supposition of cause. So if you're going to say, I assert that the cause of things moving down when not all things move down is that the Earth's moving up, well, there you go. You've got a causal statement there. And cause and effect reasoning with an empirical outcome has an investigative methodology available to you, Del. The one that we use to validate relative density disequilibrium and the cause thereof. So, I don't know. You can get as angry as you like about this and tell us that we're all idiots and we don't understand, and then poo-poo something that's been scientifically validated, but you're going to have me putting on a child's voice and calling you a science denier, because that's what you're doing, denying science, something that has gone through the scientific method. Okay? No worries. Tell us we're stupid. Do we sound particularly phased? Not really. Gotta be honest, you sound very triggered by this though, Dal.
Never have done. So what are you talking about, son?
Adam would tear that apart, later on, because I leave that to Adam.
Oh, the great Adam. Can't wait to hear the words of wisdom from the great Adam.
What a guy. I didn't know it was there. I knew I'd heard it. Cheers, bro. Good gentleman.
That's funny, though.
Well, if you were looking forward to hearing Adam, he would also echo the sentiments of myself and Quantum Eraser in that regard, and has. This is debunked by a helium balloon. There you go. You were waiting for Adam's words on the subject. They're the same as everyone else's. This is garbage. Hasn't been through the scientific method. It's an assertion.
I just want to caveat.
Go on.
I'm sorry for interrupting you. I just want to caveat. I said the claims that were coming to us, not from Dell, but from secondary sources, were debunked with the helium balloon. I have yet to hear the actual claim. I honestly, I don't know what the claim is. What is it? Can somebody tell me that?
Earth moving up.
Anyone?
Earth
Yeah.
moving up. That's the
Earth
claim.
moving up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes. That is the claim.
Oh.
The Earth is moving up. He just said
I
it.
didn't hear him make that claim yet.
He just said it. He
Did
said
he?
it like 20 seconds ago.
I'm sorry.
You just rewind.
No, he said it's not
He's
accelerating up.
verifying it. So.
Yeah. He's rather than qualifying it by saying Earth is moving up as a cause, he's saying, I'm not saying it's accelerating up. Okay. So it's just moving up then. Not accelerating, but moving at a constant. I don't care how I paraphrase it. I'm pretty clear about what the claim is here. And if he's not
that's
saying
why
it's moving up, then there is no claim here.
And that's why I said in my
It would
comment.
be completely
that's why-
pointless if it's not accelerating up. Then the entire paradigm wouldn't do anything.
Are you saying he's being
ridiculous.
ambiguous, Kiwi?
I'm not saying I didn't hear him say that the Earth was moving up.
He didn't. Okay, I was corrected. What he said was, I'm not saying it's accelerating upwards.
So ipso facto, it's not accelerating up, but it's moving up.
Not necessarily. He could just be being ambiguous, and he's not saying that at all. And the next response will be, hey, Jimmy, you didn't understand that when I said it's not accelerating up, that don't mean it's moving up. And what the hell are you moving? What the hell are you claiming then? If it's at that point, maybe that's the point, just to baffle people with bullshit.
That's why I nipped it all in the bud and just said, I don't care whether you're saying it's accelerating, moving slow as hell. It's not moving, period. End of story.
It doesn't. Yeah, but
Slow,
it
fast,
wouldn't be. There would be
mediocre.
no point if it weren't accelerating. If it's just moving, then how is it supposed to be the presuppositional cause of the density axis, right? It makes no sense then. So he's just watering it. He's just making a mess.
Can we stick with relative density disequilibrium there? Because that's density axis is going to convert it. It's relative density disequilibrium that we're claiming is the forces, pressure forces that play out. Yeah. What's being, whether this is an acceleration or an upward speed, that's what's being invoked for things moving. Right, that's and this is the weird thing in this causation, that there is no relative density disequilibrium to play out. The Earth is moving up, whether it's accelerating or by a speed. That's what I can't tell. But I've gone back 30 seconds at Righteous's request, so I'll start there. Yeah.
That these people keep regurgitating.
Right, which means that the upward moving Earth, right, which is actually claimed to be accelerating itself, which is completely nonsense.
No, it's not. Some people might. I certainly don't. Never have done. Never have done. So what are you talking about, son?
Adam would tear that apart, later on, because I leave that to Adam.
Oh, the great Adam. Can't wait to hear the words of wisdom from the great Adam.
I think I'm starting to like this boy more and more every time I hear that. To me, that seemed, Brian put the proposition that it was an upward accelerating Earth, and the denial seemed to be denial to acceleration. I can't hold down to that because it's not being made clear what his position is. But that's how I can only interpret his response to Brian.
Okay, just before we move on, let's make our position clear. We don't have a position in this regard because we don't have a claim. There's nothing for us to claim. There's no importance to us laying any claim. There's no reason for us to lay a claim. However, in spite of us having no claim, we have scientific validity for the cause of relative density disequilibrium. That would be vectors. Doesn't matter if it's down, like with your bowling ball and feather, or up in the case of helium balloons and clouds. We can explain why that happens with empiricism behind it. Just in case people want to juxtapose the you don't know what you're talking about, no, I'm not saying that, versus we don't have a claim. However, we have scientific validity for relative density disequilibrium and the cause thereof. Just so it's concise on our side and ambiguous on his.
Well, if I could draw an implicit,
Go on.
Refraction. I'd paused it.
I was going to say, if I could draw an implicit claim from the information I have so far, is it seems as if the not accelerating Earth is causing acceleration. And I would just like to see if he would agree with that statement.
No, I don't think he would. I don't. See, at the first bit where John said we weren't at that point yet, I'm sure within that there was the point that things are just falling at a speed, they're not accelerating. That appears to be, from what I've managed to pick up, part of what Dell's saying, that things are falling at their own speeds, but they're not per se accelerating, therefore changing speed as they continue to fall. That fall is not an acceleration.
Play on, Adam.
I just
hold on.
I think that Dell's really just being oppositional in that moment. He's just playing it and being in opposition of it. He's not really carefully thinking about what's being said when he's playing that. He's just being oppositional, and then he comes to the point, no, I'm not accelerating, because that's what Brian said. So he's not, right? He's playing a social game. His feelings are guiding him in this process, not his insight. That's my conclusion.
If you pick something up and drop it, it is by definition changing velocity. How is that not an acceleration?
Can I just get one of you? I don't know. I don't mind who. Before you get into this, to just address a specific chat commenter's comment. Just going to read it out. Quinlan 1977, specifically directed to one of the chat mods, Divergent Droid. I'm going to put it to the chat, or you guys, I should say. You can absolutely apply Newton's laws on non-inertial frames or reference frames. When you describe a merry-go-round, you can use Newton's laws. Do you want me to repeat that?
No. That's what I asked QE to highlight, when we did that the other week.
Yeah, this is going to be on Ballbusters on Saturday, Quinlan. But we don't mind covering it now, hopefully. I know I've just completely sabotaged Arwin and John's discussion, though. I just wanted it to be on screen.
Well, you could probably apply Newton's force, but, as the fictitious force of Coriolis and all that, right? In a fictitious setting.
It's all down to Newton. Have you got it, John? This
Yeah,
is not us. This is Newton.
Go ahead and make the claim again, Nathan. Say the comment that he just said. Stop, and then I will begin.
Okay. You can absolutely apply Newton's laws on non-inertial reference frames.
From Boston University Physics Department. A good question to ask is, do Newton's laws apply all the time? In most cases, they do. But if we're trying to analyze motion in an accelerated reference frame while we're spinning around would be a good example, then Newton's laws are not valid. A reference frame in which Newton's laws are valid is known as an inertial reference frame. You idiot crayon muncher. You would fail intro to junior high level physics. Thank you for your comment. Out.
So no, Quinlan 1977. No.
Yeah. In a centrifugal setting, it would definitely not apply.
Shout out to the price of Adam. He says, remember, all ether is love. Thank you for the super chat.
Well, I would have failed too if it wasn't for the little chat we had in the pre-show. So I'll just put that out there, I guess.
Say 3 Hail Marys and you will be resolved righteous after that minor mistake.
Get a law if it doesn't apply all the time.
It's not a law, no.
No, they're all debunked. Newton's laws are debunked. All classical mechanics as a whole is debunked. It depends on what paradigm that you're speaking to as your benchmark on who debunks it. We went over this in the pre-show.
Baller on baller would be Einstein, fourth dimensional pseudo four space time bending, debunking the Euclidean 3D laws of Newton. If you're talking about physical reality, then you're talking about quantum mechanics debunking Newton, but it was already out of date by the time quantum mechanics superseded bendy 4D spacetime. So chronologically, it's surplus to say that you've got a debunking by Einstein when you get to quantum mechanics, as it's already been superseded anyway.
That's not the point, I don't think. Certainly not what smacks me. Or smack me and why I asked John to bring it. Forget all that. It's irrelevant. Newton says you can't use it there. It's not whether Newton's pure description of physics is correct and therefore invalid. It's the fact that Newton says that no, they're not applicable there. As the simple thing, if you're on a spinning roundabout, well, you can't use the laws I've wrote there. They're not applicable. This is why I would defend and say they're perfectly fine mechanical laws, because they're defined of where you can use them. And what you certainly can't use them on is a roundabout or a spinning ball Earth. That's what's powerful. That is within its own definition that you cannot use it there. Yet the ballers try to. That's the point. I.e., here, if we're on a spinning ball Earth.
So Newton's laws are not applicable all the time.
Hold on,
No,
D-Rose.
they are
Hold on, everyone stop.
applicable.
Everyone stop. D-Rose, just have to wait till John. Go ahead, John, then D-Rose.
I was going to say, we're going to define natural law as something that occurs always, and then we're going to say that this is a law. I don't think.
No.
Yeah, they were never natural laws to begin with. Thank you, John.
I don't disagree with that, but it doesn't break the law, because the law never claimed it worked on a spinning reference frame. It specifically points out it's for an inertial, not a non-inertial rotating reference frame. It's not applicable there. So it's making the statement of where it applies. So it's not, like I say, we're not debunking anything here. We're just highlighting that they've misused something against its own warranty, for want of a better phrase.
Correct. So can we move on?
I just wanted to I just want to say something.
Yeah, hold on, Brian. Hold on, Brian. Go ahead, D-Rose.
I'll be brief. I didn't even know who Dell was, because when I caught the middle of it, when you were speaking about him the other day, I didn't catch the beginning, so I thought you was arguing about Nathan's computer, Dell or whatever. But now that I know who he is, I don't know. Is this guy an anti-flat earther, wannabe heliocentric scholar, or is he a flat society flat earther? Because he went on in the video about being accused of being flat society, which means he didn't even listen to our entire show, because we never said he was. We just said that the claim of accelerating upward moving Earth was correlative to the flat Earth society claim. So what is he? Is he a flat earther that's upset at other flat earthers for misconstruing his rhetoric? Or is he an anti-flat earther just being an asshole like they always are?
Okay, Dell's a flat earther, but it shouldn't really matter.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I was just curious to know, I'm trying to put everything into context. Like I said, never heard of the guy, never knew the guy until y'all started talking about him recently, and then I saw his video.
Sure, but if there's something interesting in the the claims that he is making, then we want to hear him. But obviously, we need to hear him in a concise manner, and we're just not. Right, Adam, do you want to? Oh no, John, go ahead. Or Brian, sorry, go ahead.
No, Brian's not here. That was Brian on the video, because I paused.
Oh, go ahead, Adam.
So I'll press play.
Adam.
If they claim it's constantly moving up at a constant rate, the fact of the matter is I can drop something from a low elevation and I can drop the same thing from a high elevation, and the impact force will be greater.
Yes, that's because it has less time to decelerate. Right?
Pause it, please.
Let me see.
Sorry, he walked into that one, Dell. Did he not mention that what he was dropping was helium balloons and the impact force was on the ceiling? Did he not mention that? You assumed that the thing was going downwards. Oh, well, that was a big mistake, Dell. Because they weren't. What he dropped was helium balloons. Oh dear, that's the end of your argument.
That's important, that. Because the claim is it's got less time to decelerate, which is still an acceleration. But ahead of there. But what's that helium balloon doing? What's it doing? Because that, in his world, is accelerating. If we're going to use dropping as a deceleration, then that helium balloon is accelerating. So it's... I need to see the explanation, so I'll press play.
What's going on here? Where's my stuff went? What the hell's going on here? Right, the reference frame again. Right, so from this sort of position, it has less time to decelerate. Right, so it's still moving. If that was 1,000 miles an hour that this was moving, right, it's still losing its momentum. But if you drop it from up here, by the time the Earth gets to it, it's lost that momentum in the upwards direction.
But he didn't say he was dropping something solid through the medium of air, Del. You've assumed that with your biases towards Earth moving up. But in fact, he was describing the impact on the ceiling of a helium balloon. That's twice. Yeah, Jimmy, we don't need to get all angry about this. We can just point out that your assumption of all things moving down and the Earth coming up to meet them versus its accelerative force of the item is completely debunked when you do this exact same example with a helium balloon.
I'm just trying to... Obviously, the claim of the Earth moving up is apparent now.
Let me just check with QE.
Yeah, I'm still not getting a concise claim. I'm half to taking implications of things. I'm just
Excuse
not
me?
getting it.
He's just said, when he's just drawn an arrow next to a diagram and explained the deceleration versus the up of the ground coming towards the item. That's what he's just described. Earth moving up. How could that be any less clear?
I'm sorry, I was in the bathroom.
Can you play that again for QE?
Yeah.
That's what a crush will do to you.
What the hell's going on here? Right, the reference frame again. Right, so from this sort of position, it has less time to decelerate. Right, so it's still moving. If that was 1,000 miles an hour that this was moving, right, it's still losing its momentum.
Was.
But if you drop it from up here,
if that was 1,000 miles an hour that this was moving, and he drew an arrow up next to the quote reference frame, actually a square.
Yeah, I'm not getting the reference frame. What is it this in relation to?
That doesn't matter. Just do you now follow that he's describing that quote reference frame moving up at 1,000 miles an hour as per his description?
Yes.
So that's his claim. Right. So then when you pick the rock up, you're still on the Earth and you're moving 1,000 in the same direction. You let go of the rock, it retains its tangential velocity, but it can't maintain it because it's not being pushed up by the Earth anymore. So it starts to decelerate. So it now is moving, let's say after the first second, at 9.8 meters per second, or it's decelerated by that much. So therefore, the differential between that it had, because it's now no longer at 1,000, it's at 998, yeah, whatever. But the Earth's still coming up, and a second later, then it's decelerating, even though acceleration doesn't exist. So I assume it's decelerating by a rate. Therefore, that's growing as an acceleration still. So by the time this one here, the higher one, by the time the Earth catches up, it's decelerated a lot more than the one here. So the net difference is not zero. It's bigger, the net difference when you drop it from here as to when you drop it here, because it's had more time to decelerate here and change its differential speed of 1,000 miles an hour to that of the Earth. I think that's my understanding.
So the box reference frame in this diagram is allegedly the Earth, is what you're telling me.
I think that's yeah. I don't know what the air's doing, whether that is invoking that as that's all moving up at 1,000 miles an hour, or it sits as a separate reference frame to the non-inertial moving upwards reference frame.
Yeah, yeah. I'm still not getting. I know this is going to frustrate you, Nathan, but I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm still not hearing a clear, concise claim up to this point.
That's not going to frustrate me. That's intentional on Dell's part, or he doesn't have a decent enough claim to be able to lay it down in a consistent manner. In the same way, I'm going to do it again. We, who don't have any necessity to make any claim in this regard whatsoever, but as a result of debunking gravity and a journey of discovery between a couple of panel members, has led us to offer up scientific empiricism for the phenomena of vector change. And the reason is down to the density of the medium, relative to the item in it. Hence the title, Relative Density Disequilibrium. We're not talking about things in fall or rest. We're not talking about things in equilibrium. We're talking about when things move, be it up or down. So that's what we're offering scientific validity for, with a cause and effect relationship laid down in a hypothesis after observing phenomena and then varying and manipulating the density of a medium to induce the phenomena of vector change. Ergo, scientific empiricism for an inconsequential claim that we don't really have any stake in. Doesn't make any difference to my world. All right, it's nice that I know that. So what's that change about the world? Nothing really. Doesn't mean it's flat, doesn't mean it's moving, doesn't mean anything. What's that? Well, Dell says the whole world's moving up. All right, did he vary and manipulate that which he assumed causes the effect? We did. What, it's just a supposition in a diagram about a reference frame, end quote. Yeah, okay. Good on you, Dell. Great. Good stuff.
By the time the Earth gets to it, it's lost that momentum in the upwards direction. So it's going to have a bigger impact. You complete and utter retard.
Wow.
Okay.
So things don't fall, they lose their upward momentum, and that's why it hits at different amounts of force, as Brian, I think, was alluding to. So I was correct then. That is the assumption. It's the loss of any tangential velocity or retention of speed that you have whilst in contact with the Earth. I'll come back to that helium balloon. How is it? See, we've got a first law violation, haven't we? For that helium balloon to make sense in this paradigm. If the reason things are occurring, why does the helium balloon, when released, suddenly gain extra energy to increase in speed past the rate of the accelerating Earth? So it's now going more than 1,000 miles an hour. Where does it get that from?
Get what? A first law of thermodynamics violation from?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, you see, Dell, your shite violates natural law. Things that occur always. You're not going to impart energy on this balloon going up in your paradigm of the world moving up. It's, what's the word? Bollocks, Jimmy.
From a higher elevation. Now, I, as the bowler, could take that.
This is what I'm saying about the keeper certain, that people like me are claiming the objects are the things that are moving. That's not what's being claimed here. That's impossible.
Pause it, please.
You need a cause.
Right, just for Dell's audience, I'll appeal to you if you happen to cross-pollinate with us. He's just told you when describing something moving from the top of a reference frame to the bottom of a reference frame, that it's not actually moving. They keep asserting that this thing's moving. So Dell wants you to deny the very evidence of your own fucking eyes. That's what he's asking you to do to believe in his paradigm. Deny the evidence of your own bloody eyes. Okay? I'm not going to do that, Dell.
Causal factor, you need a force to make objects move. We have demonstrated that there is no displacement of gas and liquid in the downward vector when there is a claim of acceleration. You need magical acceleration in order for that to be true. The claim here is that it's a deceleration, a loss of its momentum.
He doesn't know what acceleration means.
So as things move faster towards the ground, he thinks that's a loss and not an acceleration.
Yeah, he's presupposing the whole thing is accelerating. So prove that the entire Earth is accelerating within physics, Del. Good luck.
Yeah, within his description.
Listen to that again.
He can't. He doesn't know what acceleration means.
I got lost in that. I don't know whether he's talking about this in context of his previous example, or this is just a claim standing on its own. Go, Adam. Can you make any sense of this?
I'm not sure there. I've gone back 20 seconds. I'd like to listen to that bit again because I think the air's accelerating as well, as far as I can see. So in defiance of gas law.
So the air is what you're saying is the air or the atmo is accelerating. It's not accelerating. It's because he said he doesn't claim that the Earth is accelerating. For fuck's sake!
But that's all one reference.
What the fuck is his claim?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
but that was
ground
in the moment because he needed to deny whatever we were talking about. He's just being incoherent.
But the ground and the atmo were. I know this is one I want to hear. Is that one reference frame? Because that's obviously we've got that familiar concept, haven't we? Where we're in lockstepedness with a rotating or upward accelerating Earth. But lockstepedness of the air would negate or keep us in one reference frame, and that appears to be the claim. So I've gone back and I'll play it again.
We have demonstrated that there is no displacement of gas and liquid in the downward vector when there is a claim of acceleration.
There is no displacement of gas or liquid in the downward vector. I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
I don't know what that.
I think he's talking about a bottle. I think he's talking about a bottle.
Oh, now we're with the bottle.
He doesn't know what it means either, though. That's the point. Dale doesn't know what the words he's using mean.
Nathan, are you getting anything out of this?
Sorry, John.
No, I'm sorry. I wanted to ask Nathan. Nathan, do you understand what he just said? Where are we at? Are we in the friggin' bottle? Are we on the Earth? Are we in the square? What reference frame are we in? I don't get it. I'm sorry. I'm totally confused.
Which reference frame would you? Which reference frame do you want to be in?
In a half mile.
Go on.
Well, Dell was talking about the bottle, so yeah.
Okay.
So now we're back.
Hold
to
on,
the
quick shout
bottle.
out.
Oh,
This one's been paid for.
go ahead.
Go ahead, D-Rose. He's on the panel, but super chatting me. Thank you very much for the super chat, D-Rose. Really appreciate it. It says, Dell and the rest of these liars are C-list aspiring magicians with audiences believing Copperfield actually elevates elephants 20 foot off the ground, are gullible, foolish, and anti-critical thinking. Thank you for the super chat.
That's a color commentary. That's color commentary.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. That's color commentary. We need to get down to particulars here.
All right, let's. Brian's joined.
Don't criticize my super chat.
He paid for that.
Yeah, look, it got more comment because we disagreed with it than if we'd have just nodded. So you got value for money, D-Rose. I'll press play again. Brian, good to see you back. We're reviewing the vid, mate. So confusing now. If Brian comes in, it might not necessarily be the video, but here we go.
You need magical acceleration in order for that to be true. The claim here is that it's a deceleration, a loss of its momentum.
There you go. Okay.
A deceleration, a loss of its momentum of what?
Okay. So
of everything that he presupposes is accelerating. That's the whole point.
So we're back to globiolis here, aren't we? We're back to retention of tangential momentum, yeah? Forward momentum. That's what the, it's not even that, it's the differential of that force when you're no longer having it applied to you, which will cause ordering of things of different relative density. So that's the directional push force that's doing it in an upward motion for things that are heavier than the medium in which they're in. And you can use that and maybe use that as an apologetics and get to a plausible thing. But all we've got to do is go back to that helium balloon at this point. What's making it go up faster than the Earth when you let go? And if that is relative density disequilibrium, then what is going off when we drop something? Suddenly, does that stop being in effect, or is it supplemented by your upward moving Earth? This thing that we can't see. See, it becomes nonsensical, and this is when I ask about what's happening with the air. If we let the helium balloon go, is the air exhibiting gas behavior whilst also upward accelerating at 9.8 meters per second? And that's the analogy to globiolis when we take off. The air's moving sideways at 1,000 miles an hour as well as exhibiting gas behavior. This appears to be the only way you get out of what's being described.
Quick shout out to Michael Kahn, who says, skip to Dell's car and balloon diagram. Presumably that will clarify the claim. Do you know where that is?
We're not skipping.
That's the point I'm making. Okay, so when we've got the car and we've got the balloon in the car and the car accelerates and pulls off, and the balloon goes forwards, doesn't it? And what force has acted on the balloon? Nothing. The only thing that's happened is the gas in the car has continued, even though the car's accelerated, the gas has continued to do whatever it's doing. Yeah, it's not affected by the motion of the car, its next movement, unless the position it was about to take up, right, after its last collision, is now occupied by the back of the car because the car's moving forward. Gas is still doing what it was doing. So suddenly, we've not got the gas doing it, but the car is scooping. It's scooping, and that creates a flow, and that flow can only go one way because of entropy, because we've now got higher pressure at the back because of the scooping. So it's going to dissipate forwards into the car, which will have one effect on the balloon to make the balloon move. That, if you apply that effect to an upward moving Earth, everybody would look like Marilyn Monroe on the New York streets. The skirts would be blowing up, wouldn't they? Because we've got an upward movement of 1,000 or whatever speed you want to attribute. But you've always got an upward blowing wind on top of whatever the wind's doing in that situation, as exemplified by the balloon in a car.
One of my first, it might be a little bit of background noise here. One of my first critiques of this, one of the very first ones was that a stone, if you drop a stone, it can't fall faster than a helium balloon can rise. If the stone is only going down because it's not going down. You know what I mean? It can't. So the rate that the stone is falling at, the balloon must rise at that same rate, and that doesn't happen. The balloon doesn't go up at the same rate the stone goes down.
Of course it doesn't, because the density disequilibrium ratio between the medium and the object, even though one's positive and one's negative, are not on the same scale. They're exponentially different in terms of the RDD of the medium and the object and the medium and the object. That, like I say, one's positive, one's negative, but even if you ignore that, they're exponentially different.
Can I add something here? Or are you thinking not? Nathan?
Yeah, go ahead.
At this point, this is so convoluted. As a simple man, I'm not getting it. So, Is this scientific evidence of our reality? Is my first question. And it depends on what you say, not you, Nathan. The people making this claim. The first question is this natural science? Then, if it is, then I'm going to need the observed natural phenomena. And then I'm going to need the hypothesis. That is independent and dependent variable. If this is a natural cause and effect relationship, I need to see that. That's my default position right now because I can't get through this. But so convoluted, I don't know between examples, going back and forth between each other, between different examples, I'm not getting it. So that's my default.
With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. Thank you for smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a member, and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you are watching on an after show. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
Exactly. I've been trying to say it for weeks on my show. Like, there's no point to this.
All right. Well, your show comes on too early for me.
Yay!
Particularly with the comment from
hold on a second, Adam. Hold on a second, Adam. Nathan needs to celebrate. Let him have his time.
Don't do it.
Don't
do it.
What do you mean? I updated the graphics drivers, and instead of consistently crashing after 6 minutes, it's worked perfectly. So what can I conclude from that?
That you need to tinker more?
That I need to tinker more? Well, there's a couple of options, right? Since I was trying to...
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it.
Just let me tell you. Right, I can either go, oh, well, then it wasn't the fault of the settings that I've just changed and turned down, and change them back up again. Well, I won't. I'll just leave them exactly as is, because they've been fully tested. So everything's been turned down perhaps one more notch than it needs to be. But that runs perfectly and has been tested for 5 straight hours. So nothing will change. Now, obviously, having tested it for 5 straight hours last night, I was almost on the verge of tears when it crashed today. But I've updated the driver, and it works. So now I'm like, I'll just leave it as is. If it crashes again, then I'll obviously have to tinker again. But for the time being, problem solved, right?
I say have a little tinker. Go on, turn it
No,
off.
no. I've tinkered. I've already tinkered.
You bastard.
I've tinkered. The fact that it's perhaps been turned down too much now, so long as it's stable, I don't care.
That was for Arwen and Brian, not you, Nathan. Now, fingers crossed, mate, it works. I mean, that I kind of forgot all the way out. Like, we started out commenting how long, but we kind of forgot. So, fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's one of them. The graphics card's been incredibly reliable, so I just don't tinker with it. It doesn't need tinkering with. Well, every time anybody talks about this PC, they moan about how the graphics card's so difficult to cope with the heat. Well, I haven't personally had that experience, so it's always never really been an issue that I've ever fiddled with. So I've just left the graphics card alone. Well, now you go, okay, well, what else haven't I fiddled with? Graphics card. Oh, yeah, it needs some driver updates. There's no way that'll solve it. Well, there you go. Who would have thunk it? But there you go.
Drivers do solve things. Yeah.
What pisses me off, Arwen, is the fact that
where we were at.
The old ones stopped working. So in that time, over the weekend or just before on Friday, I forget which, OBS had an update. And then a couple of days later, there's a graphics card update. So, like, at some point, there's an incompatibility that's been worked out that leaves you with drivers that then don't work, which is the most irritating thing ever. They did work, now they don't. Well, you've got to update your graphics card. Well, I don't know that when I start a live show. Have I got to check for updates every single time? To be fair, it did tell me and I did ignore it. You can all fuck off.
There you go.
Right. Just to get it back on track, because I thought that was a good, honest appraisal. I've done my best to try and understand the claim, which isn't laid out cleanly to us. There appears to be a number of issues. Refracted, I'd mentioned it previously. It's the point that Dell gets angry at, which is this term acceleration, which, as far as I can see, he denies and then uses the term later on in his description. So I'm a bit confused there. But really, and this is why I took the video, Huey's right. Put something on the table, a cause and effect, something that's at least equivalent to what we've empirically demonstrated. Yeah. And until then, really, it is just color commentary and second guessing what somebody might be thinking or meaning, but they haven't laid it out clearly to anyone, I don't think. And the bits you can understand seem nonsensical when you apply them to reality. They might apply very well to one particular situation, but as the helium balloon demonstrates, it turns to shit, that explanation, when something goes up. I'm done.
Hey, Divergent, if you're listening, see, it wasn't that bad, bro. Divergent and me was going back and forth. He was like, well, I'm not going to tell him. You could send the link. I'm not going to get in between that.
I
Man,
think Del
please.
should join the show.
Dell blowing smoke out his doggone ears. That's all. He's frustrated because somebody exposed him. So he's going to try to use every source of diversionary accusations and his own straw mans to duck his fallacious claim, which he contradicts himself, saying he's not claiming it, but then he says it in a different way, as if nobody's going to catch it.
We're not out to expose Dell, right? That is not what we want to do. Now, ipso facto, we are exposing Dell, and you are right. But that's not really the purpose, is it? You know, when we're asking for evidence of incoherent dielectric acceleration, it's the same thing, right? All right, so you might have some new information beyond the rhetoric that we've been lied to about. Well, I'd love to hear it. But when you get garbage scattered with ad homs, you're like, oh, it's just baller garbage all over again, just from one of our own.
You've got to differentiate what's going off here. Whether it was Bob Nadell or Witsit now with Ether, it wasn't a personal thing. And whether it's Dell now with an upward accelerating Earth, I'm not exposing any of that other than exposing that upward accelerating Earth is a nonsensical thing as the reason for lots of things we experience in reality. It's nonsensical. The same with dielectric acceleration. The claim that's being brought to the table isn't supported. That's what I want to expose. The individuals who, irrespective of their individual behavior, are kind of irrelevant. I'm not on here to discuss Dell. I'm on here to discuss the claim that's been proposed by Dell. And that's what should be discussed, not people's demeanor, not even how much they had on him. Nathan nicely put it in. We could be here all bloody day if we keep stopping to respond to how we're insulted. That is very ballerish and very telling, because it's not necessary. Just explain what you're claiming and let's chew on that. But when you get it littered like that and it's shrouded in mystique of what even the claim is, there comes a point where we have to go back to QE putting his foot down, where we are just pissing in the wind, trying to figure out somebody else's nonsensical claim. Stop and let them now just reiterate in a concise, clear manner what they're actually on about. Because I can't get any more out of it than what we've discussed.
Well, I can, but I mean, it's all about feelings, right? That's how I started out talking about it. That's the main driving factor. And he's messing up. And we just exposed a couple of times where he was blatantly contradicting things into nonsensical territory. So he's mostly just frustrating doing this. He is really into the upward acceleration Earth concept. But yeah, this thing, why he reviewed us, is probably because he feels like we attacked him and his idea, because he really believes in it. And that's it. That's what I think is going on.
I think in terms of treatment pathways and people discussing the best route, what we don't do, because it's irrelevant, is say, well, he's a bit over passionate there, or he did this there, or yeah. We look at what's being proposed. The person proposing it is of kind of a moot point. Yeah, they're not relevant, and they shouldn't be relevant to us. Discuss the topic at hand. That's worth doing. As for discussing anybody's motivation, whether or not they're contradicting themselves, I don't really care until, on the personal level. It's not them, it's the theories contradicting itself at this point. And if that's a better way of approaching it. I don't want to make this personal. Have you seen the size of Dell? Massive. I'm dead skinny, really.
I was totally unclear on everything he said. Give him the benefit of the doubt.
No, I didn't say that. I said address the argument or the proposition, which is hard to find, not the individual that's presenting it.
I feel what you're saying. And that's why I think I did it on the neutral grounds, because I didn't know whether he was a anti-flat earther or a flat earther. All I was doing was
done.
And granted, granted, I was pretty much critiquing his attitude and what he was saying like that, but I brushed that off. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I feel what you're saying. Concentrate on the claim, break it down, dissect it, and tear it apart. I get it. But nonetheless, whether we
Heroes, just
but you can agree.
That's why I took offence at that and spoke up against your super chat. Yeah, so no need to accuse him of anything, and he deserves a bit of respect, whether or not we agree with his viewpoint here. Yeah, and whether or not he shows us that respect, we should afford that to him. Yeah, we don't need to descend to this and deal with the issue. Yeah, but he's done a shitload of work. Oh, I used to watch him. Real balls out, going round, just talking to people, engaging with them. Yeah, he's done a load for this movement, and just because he's wrong on one point doesn't mean he should be overly castigated. And to be fair, the way he's talking to us is the way he's always talked. So I don't take great overly offence.
Right, he always talks like that.
Yeah.
Right?
So, I think just deal with the issue because it's relevant. It's within, as Nathan calls it, the community. And therefore we should discuss it in our way, which is to deal with the facts.
I'd like to do that quick because implicitly I'm taking away that there is a claim that the Earth is rising up and causing a deceleration, and then he denied the Earth is accelerating explicitly. I don't.
Yeah, I told you he was messing up all the time because it was so personal, and he just needed to be in opposition. He needed to be able to deny whatever we were talking about in that moment, in this case, Ryan. So he just did that. It's pure feeling, right? Just making him do that.
You're divining his motives.
Okay.
It has to be. You can hear it in his voice.
I don't care whether he was bullshitting. Whatever's been presented, right, as I've pointed out as refractors notice, is we have a contradiction here. Things are either not accelerating or they're staying a constant speed. But we have a deceleration applied in the later description, and then the term acceleration used later on. I don't know what this Earth's doing, whether it's accelerating or just staying at a constant speed. There's lots of contradiction in the explanation, to the point that it becomes not really comprehensible because of the contradiction, as Refracted said. Yeah, that acceleration point is key to comprehension of the claim for me.
Well, let me spare you and tell you it's supposed to be accelerating up. That's when it starts to mechanically work out.
What's supposed to be accelerating up? Be hyper specific.
The entire enclosed has to be enclosed realm.
What about the gas? Is that accelerating up, or is it just enclosed in an accelerating up container?
It's just presupposed to be contained within an upward accelerating.
Yes, I was going to say that was what his diagram showed.
Right. So we do have the Marilyn Monroe effect over an air vent then, because we've got something that's accelerating up, scooping, as in the car in a balloon in a car scenario, scooping. Yeah. Because that air is doing what it's doing, but the Earth is coming up towards it, pushing it, isn't it? So you're going to get just like the back of the car's pushing it. So you're going to get an updraft.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
So
exactly the mechanism. Yeah,
is
that's
that-
how you can presuppose that it works like that.
is that why the helium balloon goes up as opposed to
Yes.
just staying their way? Stop it, you Tom.
It's the presupposed cause of the relative density axis. Why the less dense goes up and the more dense goes down.
No, that's got nothing to do with RDD. That's solely
Causing feedback,
air current.
Arwin.
That's air currents, isn't it, Arwin? It's got no. That's what I'm saying. Is that the supposed force that's added on so that we're not in a first law of thermodynamics violation? Is it just airflow that gives it that extra speed? So instead of it staying still at 1,000 miles an hour or decelerating, because it's so light compared to the airflow caused by the 1,000-mile-an-hour updraft of the air, that it goes up. It accepts that force, and that's what takes it past its tangential speed that it's retained after the point you let go of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how convoluted this shit is, but that was the correct description.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's how the density axis is presupposed to be put into place as it is in the accepted stationary realm.
No, there's no density axis there. All we've got is extra force coming upwards, generated by the Earth pushing everything up. The wind, the extra wind force from the upward moving Earth, pushing the balloon upwards. That's the only thing you've
No,
got.
there's no wind force because it's all that gas is all within the enclosed.
Aha. So we've
thing.
got a violation of gas law then. So we've not got gas following any gas law.
Hang on, Adam. Hang on. Arwin, is that what you're saying, or did Dell say this?
This is what he's basing that idea. You wanted to know, right? Because we already established he's
hang on.
We already established
Just
he's
asked you a
being
question.
incoherent. So you guys literally asked, "Hey, where does anybody have a source?" Well, here you go.
Owen, the premise I'm working on with you here is that you're giving your best understanding of Dell's stuff because you've reviewed it a lot. That's what I'm assuming, not this is your claim.
Well, I literally did this thing on a show on my Flat Earth Talks.
I didn't say when did you do it. I'm saying, is that what you're doing? You're giving your best understanding of Dell's
Right.
description. Yeah.
I'm representing this very conception.
Cool. So that's
Can I do
my
the same
understanding.
also? Can I do the same? Can I also share my ideas about whatever I understood from Dell's claims? So there's this trend that I have observed in all these flat earthers who think that they are, I am again not divining their intentions or anything, but they think that they are trying to add something to the knowledge base of flat earthers. Nathan, if you remember my previous video, the flat earther from India was doing the same thing. I'll give you these two examples. So he was just interchanging the word matter with energy in the definition of density. So people change the basic definition of things. Here, he simply changed matter to energy, and there you go. You have a new concept. Density is not actually matter per unit volume, it is particles of energy per unit volume. And strangely enough, they do not even believe in atoms and molecules. From what I understood of Dell's argument, since he is stressing on the fact that an object is losing momentum when it is falling down, what he's actually doing is changing the term momentum with potential energy. I mean, he's trying to say potential energy. An object loses potential energy when it falls from a higher altitude to a lower altitude, but he's just using the term momentum in place of potential energy.
No, it's the reverse, Arthur. He's saying when you let go, it's got and it retains an upward momentum of whatever speed. Let's call it 1,000 miles an hour. Pretend we're at the equator, yeah? And as you because it's no longer connected to you and who is connected to the Earth, that retention stops. And because of airflow and things like that hitting it, it slows this magic momentum that it retains down. And therefore, if you drop something from a lower height, it's moving at 980 miles an hour. And so you only get a small impact. If you drop for a higher height, it's decelerated more. It's lost more of this magic momentum. And therefore, the differential between the Earth's speed and the loss of magic momentum is bigger. Therefore, it hits at a harder force. It's kind of the reverse of
also the
everything from my
description of,
understanding.
but that's
Yeah, so all
also
of
from
this
the
is happening
idea
in
that
the
it's an ever increasing speed.
No, just stick with the concept that because Arthur's interpreted it one way, which is to me still Newtonian, unless I misunderstood your description, Arthur. So just respond to what I said, because that's my understanding of what's being claimed. It's a bit like Globiolis. It's a differential of retained speeds based on tangential momentums or whatever you want to ascribe it to, retention of angle
So
or
that's
whatever.
where
Yeah, but that
that's what
seems to be the
Arvin said.
differential they're breaking down.
Yeah, so Arvin already said that it is their presupposition that this entire enclosed system is moving upwards. So that's a presupposition. Everything is moving upwards. You start from there.
Well, you can't prove it.
Is
You have to
everything moving upward
separate.
at a constant rate or at ever increasing speed?
It would have to be accelerating, not just moving.
Hang on. This is a lot of talk from people who I haven't heard Del say any of these things. I haven't heard Rachie say any of these things.
No, we've just gone through the
I didn't
big
hear
guy.
anything about any enclosed. Rachie was actually not stating even enclosed.
Yeah, right.
So people are adding shit to it. Sorry
No,
for
we're
language.
not.
People are adding stuff to it. I'm not saying you. I'm talking about
No, right.
Darwin.
We've played the review bit. These are the things we're commenting on, the bits of certainty we've got. So we do have an upward accelerating containment. This was described to us and stuff on just before you rejoined. Because he's responding to what you're addressing, you see. That's why I said when you came back, oh, well, I know whether it's the video of me.
So, well,
so he's initially responding to your address because you were the most detailed. So he's responded and he stopped the video and he's pulled up and drawn some pictures and explained what he's saying. Now, the point of contention is, and as Refracted said, and that is, he's poo-pooed the word acceleration. We're not sure if there's a speed, and then he's used deceleration as if that's not acceleration, and then later on used the term acceleration. So we're confused as to what this upward moving Earth is doing. Is it accelerating or is it moving at a constant speed? Because his claim seems to be contradictory in being able to define what the Earth's doing.
Because they're messing up. They're messing up. It's really supposed to be acceleration and not just motion. Just let me break it to you. That's how it's supposed to be within the presupposition.
So the Earth is ever increasing speed upwards?
Yeah, pretty insane, right? I mean, if you're going to set a time span as to where it would have started, supposing linear time, yeah, the speed it would have built up by now would be so astronomical. It would be way beyond
No
ludicrous.
particularly defined or denied the Earth was accelerating up.
Yeah, because he's an idiot and he's not using the conception correctly.
Sorry, can I ask Adam a question?
Pull it apart based on its merits as it's presented. You don't say he's interpreting his bullshit wrong. It should be interpreted this way to pull it apart. It's just, how does he present it? If he says it's not accelerating, okay. But you're presupposing it's moving. Arthur's just summed it up in that respect quite nicely.
Yeah, but if it's just moving in a steady speed, it's not going to have any influence. Then it
Then
won't
you're saying
mean
that the
anything.
not accelerating Earth is causing a deceleration, which is an acceleration. It's nonsense.
Hang on. Can I ask a question?
So why he did not use any of these words like enclosed system or acceleration, deceleration? Because he was using the term momentum. That's what he stressed upon. that an object is losing momentum when it is falling down. It is not accelerating, it is losing momentum.
but
If
How
you
does
just
it be falling down?
That's a momentum from the presupposed accelerating of the entire body. That's what the deceleration is about. He's just imagining the entire Earth is accelerating up,
No,
and
can I
then
please
something
ask Adam
drops,
a
and then it
question?
Right, time.
stops moving with the Earth, right? Stands still in space while the
What
Earth
his
accelerates up to meet it.
interpretation-
What I
what
find
his
interesting is
interpretation of momentum
Adam, please.
was that an object loses momentum when it loses altitude because it is falling on the surface with less force, less speed, because it is falling from a lower elevation. But what actually it means is it has low potential energy, which is why it is translating into low kinetic energy when it is touching the ground.
No, what it's like, what he's describing is like a rear end shunt at high speed. So you're on the motorway and you are doing 50 mile an hour, yeah, and the Earth's moving up to you at 70 mile an hour. When the Earth hits you, you continue moving up at 70 mile an hour. In this is what's being described in the physics, as far as I can see. Yeah, a rear end shunt with a differential. Now, one's at 1,000 miles an hour and one's at 980 miles an hour. But yeah, but it's still 20 mile an hour. It's still that. But that's not the issue. Come back to refraction. Is that an accumulated speed? See, and this is the point. He's saying it has longer to decelerate, which means he's describing in relative terms an acceleration. Depends which way you're viewing it. It's decelerating because of lack of retained speed, or it's accelerating down. That's the relativity. That's what they're invoking. But it's still an acceleration. It's a change in speed, whether it's an increase or a decrease. So we've still got acceleration. But as John says, QE, this was explicitly denied. No, it's not accelerating up. And this is where we're in. Dell needs to clarify. All you can do is piss in the wind now because he's contradicting himself fundamentally.
Yeah,
You can't
he
comment
messed up.
anymore.
Can I ask Adam a
further
question,
clarity.
please?
Yeah.
I'm thinking no, Brian.
Yeah, I'm just not allowed to ask Adam a question. I've tried, and Arwen and Arthur and everyone else has come in, even Adam come in. I'm not allowed to ask them. So, Adam, can I ask you a question that you will answer?
For you, Brian, anything, my friend.
Thank you. So, when I let go of a stone, within his claim, is that stone going down, or is it not going down, only appearing to go down? That's the part I need clarity on.
From what I understand, it's doing two things. It's continuing in an upward motion at the second you release it at 1,000 miles an hour, as the ground continues at 1,000 miles an hour. But the second you release it, it's got no longer any upward thrust generated towards it. So it will stay moving upwards at a decelerating rate from 1,000 miles an hour. And therefore, the impact force will be based on how much deceleration can occur, i.e., how high you've held it. And therefore, the impact force is not a consideration of the acceleration, it's a consideration of the deceleration generated because nothing's thrusting it up anymore. Wait. And it's 980 miles an hour. It's now going upwards as the ground hits it at 1,000 miles an hour, a rear end shunt.
Yeah, but that means there's no. That means there is no claim. Because I can turn around and I can actually use, right? I can use gravity and Charles Vernon Boy's 9.81 meters per second squared to take that apart and give the public something. Like, I mean, what he's claiming is like gravity. It's just like claiming gravity. It's like, so he's claiming there is different impact. There is different impacts depending on the elevation that something is dropped at. He's just describing it in a different way. That means there is nothing. There's no what? There's no phenomenon.
Correct.
I don't get this. What's the phenomenon?
It's a presupposition.
I mean,
No, there is no phenomenon. It's a presupposition. That's all it is. It's a
Makes no
presupposed.
sense.
No, it does
Stop,
make
stop, stop.
sense, but it's not provable.
There is a phenomena. Anthony Riley observed that natural phenomena. Some things go up, some things go down, some things remain neutral. That is what we observe in our everyday experience. Now, if you exclude things going up, you can say, oh, look at this feather and bowling ball go down. But that is not the natural phenomena that is observed.
Right, that's in relative density, and this
No.
upward acceleration system doesn't
No,
have that.
stop. No. The question being asked, what's the phenomena? And then the answer that between you and Brian you thrashed out was, there isn't one. No, there is one. What's a phenomena? Something we observe happening? Do we observe things displacing downwards? Yes. Do we observe things displacing upwards? Yes. This is a phenomena. It's nothing to do with relative density at that point. You're just observing step one of the scientific method. What are you observing happen?
Yeah, but that's my point. There's something going down is only half of the phenomenon. So you can't ignore the things going up. My point is that I don't see how he has any claim. I don't.
No,
now it's become even more convoluted.
You're right.
Because
Right.
he's messing up, he's not getting it right.
If we stick with the observed natural flow as Nathan described, things go up, things go down. And this is what I said earlier. It's all right taking one part of an observation and saying I can describe it this way, but you have to then be able to describe the other way in the same mechanics. And that's the fault. I summarized it before. Go back to the helium balloon. You cannot apply the same mechanics to make the thing go down to make it go up. That, to me, is a fundamental flaw in terms of what I've understood. There seems to be an obvious contradiction there. And with many ways, we've stated first law of thermodynamics, etc. But fundamentally, that seems to be the key.
Well, you can technically make a helium balloon within a medium go down, but that requires a pretty damn radical approach, which is kind of dangerous. So that's basically extreme acceleration down, like a rocket going straight down. That's
Sorry,
going
Arwen,
to...
what did you say? About you can make a helium balloon go down?
Yeah.
Explain that. In what way, like?
I just did that. You'd have to put it into, like, let's say, a jet, right? Or a drone, even better. A drone with a separate compartment in there, so this doesn't have to be a pilot subjected to that shit. Put a helium balloon in that regularly air-filled pod, and then you let it rocket straight down at extreme like double down acceleration, like much faster than the normal fall rate. The balloon's going to go down. Within that capsule, the balloon is actually going to reverse
the
density axis. Yes.
No, it's not. It's going to go to the back in it and get dragged down. It's
No, it
not
won't.
going down. And even then, you've only got the helium balloon, the containment going down. The gas is doing its own thing.
The rest is regular air. The helium balloon would normally sit upward. If you send it down at double acceleration rate, the balloon's going to go to actual down. It's going to go forward, as is what happens.
What, the containment or the gas molecules?
No, the balloon within the capsule.
The containment.
Yeah.
But
with
not
air
the gas
and
in
the balloon. Air
gas
and the
in
balloon
the-
with the helium. The
Yeah, but
balloon's
not-
going to go down.
Yeah, but not the gas in the balloon. That's doing its own thing, isn't it? Is that whatever you're doing around it?
Yeah, sure.
It's doing it's not going down, is it?
The helium balloon is.
The balloon is, yeah, but the gas inside the balloon, all it's doing is being dragged down based on where its containment moves from. But it's just doing its own thing. It's never going down ever, is it?
Well,
Other
yeah,
than-
it is technically going to go down with the balloon.
But it's not going down. There's no jet. It's general
Yeah,
direct.
the jet's going to go down double acceleration rate. The
Okay.
balloon within it is going to go down also.
I'm not on about the balloon. Just the one. Let's talk about Percy, the gas molecule. Just one of them, and he's in there, right? And whatever the balloon's doing, and the jet or the space shuttle or the Death Star's doing, yeah, he's just in that balloon doing his own thing, right? And he's actually going up at the moment, northeast, yeah. but the bloody container comes down and gets to the space that he thought he was going to occupy just before him. So he hits the container and off he goes. And now he's going southwest. When's he ever going down? When do his vectors ever become down? All that ever happens is where his vectors can play out in changes as these containment moves around him as he does his own thing. Percy's never going down.
That's what the fuck? That's literally the same thing. But yeah, you described it in utter detail, but that's cool. But effectively, it's going to go down. The airplane, let's just say it's an airplane, is going to rush down, and the helium balloon within the capsule of the airplane, separate of the rest of the air that's around, is also going to go down because of the extreme acceleration downward.
You're not listening for the fourth time. What about Percy?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
What do you mean, what the fuck? I mean, does he have to get in Braille and shove it up your ass?
What the hell are you doing here?
If
Why are
I
you
put
talking
helium in a can, Arwen, if I put helium in a can and I have it on the table in my kitchen, and I take the can and I place it on the floor, that's what you're stating. That's the same thing as you're stating. The helium didn't go down. It's in the can. It can't escape the can. I moved the can from a higher elevation to a lower elevation. That doesn't mean the helium went down. The helium went down. The helium didn't stop being helium. It's going to be a gas. It's going to keep on going off out in every direction. It can't. But it can't if it's contained.
No downward force was applied to any gas molecule. The only downward force was applied to the balloon. Gas did what it was carried on partying inside, bro. Yeah? Whatever you're doing on the outside, yeah, it's irrelevant to Percy. All you've done is you keep moving the back wall or moving the side wall or the front wall, depending on, he doesn't know up or down. He does not, only he knows is the vector he's heading in, yeah, after his last collision. But there is no relative density disequilibrium to him. There is no up and down in any law of physics to him. It doesn't apply to him. Yeah. The law, that law, there is no RDD to him. All he's got is available microstates to head to next. And that's the only thing that's going to define where he's going. If it's available and it's on his last vector, he's heading that way until something blocks that same vector. Then he'll change his vector.
Adam, can I ask you another question?
I'm thinking no.
What the fuck?
No one's talking to you. I asked Adam. Adam. Hello, Adam.
Yes, sir.
Or QE. QE, Winnie, right? Would I be correct in stating then that, because I need to come back to this whole Gel thing, because now I'm completely don't have a clue about what he's claiming. Would it be fair to state that he's just offering another downward bias description?
I have a question for QE after two.
Yes, it's another form of gravity.
He's asking Adam. He's asking, you must be Adam or QE, Arwen.
You must be very late to respond.
I was thinking. State your question again. Right.
Is what Del is putting forward, am I correct in stating that it's just another downward bias description?
No.
I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
The opposite. Gas go up, though, boom, boom.
Yeah, well,
Q.
from our apparent...
Well, hold on a second. Let Brian finish.
Thank you. Just a moment. From our apparent position, to us, it would appear within what they're claiming as a downward bias, but it's actually an upward bias.
I think that's the only way I could word it, right? Because if this is a reversal based on Einsteinian relativity, isn't it? This seems to be the underlying premise of the theology of this new way of viewing physics. That if we accept relativity, that, and this is the point of relativity. Even Einstein didn't claim this. He said, if I put you in this situation, you couldn't tell. It didn't mean you can reverse the forces, but this seems to be the premise of what's going off here. Based on relativity, we're going to reverse the assumption of a downward bias, yeah, and give it an upward bias and see how it plays out.
Yeah, because Einstein said the happiest moment of his life was when he saw a guy who was working on a roof fall off the roof. He said because he realized that from that guy's reference point, he can't say that he's falling or the earth is coming up to meet him.
No. And this is the thing, innit? The bloke fucking knows, doesn't he? Excuse my French. What he means is if I choose a particular way of describing it mathematically, it doesn't matter which way round I describe it. The maths is equivalent. And that's very different to experiencing reality. To take a simplified description of reality, yeah? Like I say, the distinction for me is that Einstein says you couldn't tell the difference mathematically. You couldn't, yeah? And they use the analogy of the train pulling off. How long does it take you to realize it's not you pulling off, it's the other train moving? Microseconds, because that's reality. But if you just stuck with the maths and I described it this way, you wouldn't be able to tell.
But Adam, what becomes Brian? Excuse me, Brian, but it is very, very relevant, Brian. I'm sorry, Adam. If you remember yesterday QE's show, there's something that I said. Two containers. I'll repeat it for Nathan's benefit. So, if two containers have the same volume and you fill equal amounts, let's take 10 moles today. If you insert equal amounts of helium, 10 moles of helium into one container and 10 moles of carbon dioxide in the other container, and then weigh those two containers, the one with carbon dioxide is going to weigh more than the one with helium.
Define weight.
That's gas. I mean, we are going to just put them on a weighing scale and check it.
Nope, you're going to have to define weight.
I mean, I'm talking about the measurement which we are taking on that weighing scale.
Yeah, I am too. I'm talking, you said weight. Will it weigh more? So you're going to have to define weight so we're communicating correctly.
Okay, let me then reframe.
What's weight?
It is going to show a bigger number on the weighing scale.
That's not what weight
when you
is.
put
On the what scale? On the weighing scale? Define weighing.
Scale.
Yeah, what's the weight? What does a weighing scale do then? It's a nice wiggle, but you're going to have to define weight, Arthur. Or what a weighing scale does.
Okay. I'll go by the dictionary definition of weigh. Weight. Let's go.
You'll be in trouble.
I mean, mg, m dot g. No, I'm saying things are heavy, things are light. We know that concept.
Stop. Weight equal mg, love you long time. Is that what you said?
I know, Kiwi. I know. I watch your shows.
Yeah, you know where I'm going with this. I hate to be pedantic. It sounds like I'm trying to divert away from the question, but I'm actually not. I'm right on point. What's weight?
So it's like we never use the word weight in this show here.
I can use it and I'll define it if you push me to it. If you ask it when you're going to invoke it, but you've invoked it, you're going to use it. So we need you. So that's what do you mean by weight?
Just use the word mass instead.
Okay, so let's be clear here. When I say that the one with carbon dioxide is going to weigh more on a weighing scale when you put it, you do not really know what I mean. Is that the case?
No, we don't. We're really stupid. So could you define for us weight? And then we can move on because then we'll understand what you mean by weight and it will weigh more.
Yeah, I'm opening the tab and checking. So I'll read some definition online.
No, the definition, not some, the definition of weight.
Doesn't have to be a definition. What do you mean by weight? I'm happy with. Yeah, just so I know what you're talking about, Arthur.
Oh, so you're opening up a Pandora's box, so I can just make shit up what weight is, right?
Well, it doesn't have to be a dictionary definition.
Why not?
Off the cuff definition may suffice and fit the categories. Right, but that's all I'm asking. Just what do you mean by that? When you say I've weighed something, what's the implication of what you've done?
Oh, brother.
It is the
Okay,
quantity of heaviness. It is the quantity of heaviness. How heavy something is. Now I have to define heavy, right?
You got it, baby.
How much go down, go boom, boom, power?
Can I be allowed to help out here?
I'm thinking now.
Okay.
It actually goes along the lines of my questioning that I have for QE, but I'll wait. But pun intended, I'll wait because I have a question about a wait too. While you guys figure this out, I'll hit you up later.
Here's bro.
Did you guys settle it? Can I ask my question, or are we still waiting for that response?
Alpha's
You better hurry up.
Well, here was my question to QE. I want to hear your response or answer, or anybody else at that matter. But particular QE, I was over in Gem Panda server, and I brought up a question. And they're too retarded to respond, but I did want to get a logical question. I brought up a fact that about 3 months ago there was a circuit, a storm that was traveling from the east of the Pacific coastline. I'm sorry, the west of the Pacific coastline, and it was moving towards Washington, Oregon, and California. A huge storm coming in, and the newscasters, right, like the meteorologists or whatever, they were saying there's over 2 million pounds of water that were in these clouds, that rainfall that they called it, and they said it was going to fall on California, Oregon, and Washington. Now, here was my question to the ballers. How does this weight, how does it hold in the cloud without gravity affecting it in their paradigm? Why didn't gravity pull down that weight before it got to the coastline and then it releases?
I'll answer it.
Please.
I'll answer it.
You got all
I'll
kind
answer
of convoluted stuff in that. But go ahead, Brian. I'm gonna go get something to drink. Carry on.
Yeah, no, it's the meteorologists are just describing it as water because it's water, it's condensing water vapor. So they can describe it as water, but that doesn't mean they're describing it as liquid water. Because if it was liquid water, it would have gone down. So they could say there's 2 million pounds of water. They could speak about it as if it's water vapor and call it water, or they could be referencing it as actual water for when it does fall. So could they be saying, like, without adding in the preface, when it does fall, there will be, they could just say there's 2 million pounds of water in those. You know what I mean? But obviously it's not water, because if it was actual liquid water, it wouldn't be up there. It has to be water vapor or condensing water vapor. That when it turns to water, it's going to fall, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that was my question. Like, how does this weight? So the meteorologists, I do that in parentheses because who knows what those guys are. They're saying that amount of water that they, the Doppler radar picked up this storm system, and then it calculates how much water is going to present a rainfall, and that's how they come up with how many inches of rainfall we're going to get. So they're like, we're going to get 7 inches of rainfall, right? Like come Tuesday. But how do they compensate or calculate, for a better word? How can they say that much water is in these clouds, but
one mole
that water's
gas
traveling though? Go ahead. Go ahead.
You're going to look at it and they're going to deal with gas. God, 1 mole of gas will be what, 22.4 decimeters cubed or something like that. So if you work on that kind of basic assumption at 1 atmosphere, and then you look at the size of the clouds and you do some kind of meteorologist magic where you, and this is the important thing, isn't it? Where you look at the volume and the atmospheric pressure and you use those two things to define how many molecules of gas you've got in there. That's how they're going to do it, isn't it? Yeah, because they've not got a big cup. And they're not going to just go up to the cloud and measure it and go, well, it's 5 miles by 10 miles by 6 miles and times that as if it's a liquid or a solid to tell you how many molecules. Yeah. They're going to look at the volume and the pressure of the gas and make an approximation on that, I would assume. But I'm no meteorologist, but I said, no sky cups and you're dealing with gas. So if you're dealing with gas, two very important pieces of information. It's not like you can weigh it. You need both volume and pressure to work out how many molecules you've got. Unlike the convention of weight, where you can take a solid or a liquid and put it on a scale and transpose that to be able to calculate how many molecules you're looking at. You
Right.
can use that convention. But it's very different with gas.
So you're saying that when they say 2 million pounds of water, you're saying that it's just a like an educated guess, like because of
right.
the vast distance, calculated, and like they have a density of it because the radar picks up, so much water coming in on these clouds. So, but how does it do that though? That's my whole question.
It'd be a calculation, wouldn't it? So you'd use a molar calculation. So, like I said, if I said to you, right, you've got X volume of water at this pressure, right? Then multiply, and you've got X moles, then I don't know, I've got 100 moles. And what's water? 16, 18. So I've got 1,800 grams of water. Then suddenly, in that huge volume, I can convert it into a relative molecular mass to then express it as a weight in that convention about when it hits the ground. That's kind of all they're doing. It's only numbers they're playing with and kind of conversions.
Right. But my question is, how does water that's so heavy, and they've already, calculated how much water is in that system that they've picked up on their radar system, and now how does that system of that much weight travel 100 miles
It doesn't weigh anything.
and it doesn't release it?
It's not weighing anything. It's a gas. It's a gas. It's not weighing anything.
So you're saying that
when you
water vapor,
back,
not water
what does weight mean? If I weigh something, what am I doing? What is that convention? Describe that convention, what it applies to, and then tell me how you can apply that to a cloud.
I'm listening.
No, that was kind of my question. How can they do that?
Then you've got to define weight. Is the point? Yeah. You tell me what weight is. What does it mean to you? Because you're saying they say there's this much weight up there, so that obviously means something to you. What does weight mean?
Right. Yeah. Well, the weight to me would mean that there's a measurement of the volume of a particular mass, which would give a weight. So if you have, they calculate it has to be 2 million pounds of water because of
hang on. I think I'm mixed up on something.
Calculation. That's a calculation.
Go ahead.
Weigh something. Tell me.
Let me ask a quick question.
Okay.
Just quick. Do you know that you do realize water vapor? That clouds are condensing water vapor, and water vapor is a gas that's less dense than air. You know that, don't you? Just make sure it is. I don't.
Right.
So what they're talking about is a calculation based on the amount of water vapor that's up there. So there's no weight up there until it becomes condensed enough to become water, and then it has weight because it has a linear downward vector force.
Right.
Then it has weight, but it doesn't have any weight when it's up there. So they're just calculating off of the amount that's up there that they can, let's just say, somehow detail. They're just making a calculation off of that. They have no idea how much water will or how much rain will eventually fall. They're just stating that based off of this amount of this type of cloud, that there's going to be X amount of water fall.
It's an estimation. They just estimate based on the volume of it.
Yeah. So even in that volume, how does that weight stay up in the clouds and not
Because
fall
it's got
before
no
it gets
weight.
to landfall?
Doesn't
There
have
is
weight.
no weight. When you
Oh, there's
looking
no
at it
weight.
in the clouds, what downward vector is it applying to anything? Or is it just freely moving within its vapor?
So then what makes the cloud system release water at one point as opposed to another?
I'd not here to
let me-
explain clouds stick with weight, right? You keep saying it's
Right.
weighing something. What if I ask you to weigh something? Define what you're doing and the mediums you're doing it in, and what you can do it with, and why you can't weigh a helium balloon. What's the requirements for you to weigh something?
You gotta put on a scale.
What can you put on a scale?
No, I'm saying like usually weight you put on a scale. That's what gives you the weight, right? Technically.
Not giving it weight. It had that
Yeah.
convention you're trying to measure. It already had it. That doesn't give it that. All you're doing there is using the scale to quantify it in a particular manner, kilograms, pounds, whatever.
Correct.
But what
Correct.
is giving you
I
that?
think I
What
see
is
the
giving you
problem.
the quantification? What's being expressed? There's a downward pressure, isn't there? Yeah, a downward pressure
exactly.
onto the scale.
Exactly. Right.
And what phases, if you leave them and they want to seek equilibrium, whether that's in containment or if you drop it, but in the case of the scale, it's in containment. What phases of matter will express a downward vector?
Is that rhetorical or you're asking me?
Genuine question. There's three phases. Tell me which of the three are gonna do what? Which will express the downward vector? Well, a solid, if I put it on there, express anything other than a downward vector onto the scale.
Well, that was kind of my point originally. Was how
Let's
does
keep
this?
going. Let's go through the phases. So will a solid do that?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Will a solid only express a downward pressure onto the scale? Will it apply any force or pressure in any other direction other than down if I put the solid onto the scale?
Right.
Yes or no?
Yeah. That's how we get the weight because we're calculating that downward pressure to of the mass of whatever it is, gas, liquid, whatever. There's going to be a measurement to that. Yeah, you're right. I agree.
Now I'll do it with a liquid, and I'm assuming I'm pouring it into a container. It's not just going to pour off the sides of the scale. So I pour it into a beaker on the scale. Which way is it going to express its pressure? Anything other than down?
No.
Maybe slightly a bit to the sides, but fundamentally that's going to go down and express down the sides of the containment. Now, a gas. Shall I have a lid on it or not? Let's not have a lid. At what point am I weighing the gas?
Clouds don't have lids. No.
Oh, no, forget the cloud. I've took a bucket of cloud, got a nice, good, healthy bucket of cloud that I've brought down, and there it is. And I'm going to put it in a beaker, just like I did with the water when I weighed that.
Right.
What is it going to weigh?
Going to weigh the volume of it. Yeah.
Is it going to weigh the same How's it going to express its pressure? In which directions is it going to express pressure?
Downwards.
Just downwards?
Well,
It's a
to
gas.
weigh it,
Remember, it's moving
yeah.
freely in all
Oh,
directions.
yeah. I guess I guess you could only estimate it because you can't really quantify that if a gas is going in all directions. So you can't really quantify that. You just have to guesstimate it like what it is.
We've got that problem then, that it's not within the convention that we define weight. It's not applying itself as we define
Once again,
weight.
let's just. Why don't we just
weight.
continue? Why don't we just continue with closed containers with different gases? That's the logical next step, isn't it?
Well, let's just make sure we've defined weight first before we move on to these things, because you've still not done it, Arthur. Do you want to go? Do you want to define
What
weight?
were we doing
What
with
you
the scale?
mean by when you weigh something, what you're doing? So we've got that bit, but that's just the thing. Whenever we weigh something,
Let's just continue with containers, closed containers with different
No.
gases. One closed container of equal
No, 'cause
volume with helium and another one with carbon dioxide.
No, because I don't want to
But
play
we're
that
talking about water
GCSE
though in the
question
cloud.
with you, because it's
Yeah,
very pointless to understanding something, the convention of weight and being able to define it. Something you're not able to do. So I'm trying to help you, not go back to your
Yeah.
GCSE question about molar mass and affecting containment. Yeah. So we've got these things exerting a downward pressure. What else do we say that we have to make sure we consider when we're using weight is the medium it's in? What's the medium that is the convention for when we use weight? Whenever we weigh something, what's it in? And what do we recognize it's in when we're weighing it by this convention?
It is ludicrous that we make fun of globers that they do not contain gases within closed containers. And here we are doing the same thing, putting some cloud bouquet and putting it in an open container. Wow, Adam.
No, that's not
That's
why
what
I
I'm.
asked. You're making a leap. Okay. That's
But
really ignorant, dude. You've not responded to the question I asked you. You had a point in your head that you wanted to make going back to your GCSE question. Instead, so just repeat back to me what I said. I'm trying to help you here. Yeah, but I'm not feeling you're even listening to what I said from that reaction. So just tell me what I just said.
I believe you're talking to him, not me, because he's the one that's kind of.
Yeah, I was talking to Arthur.
Yeah. You're talking to him, not me.
I was waiting for you to continue with your example when you first weighed the beaker and then something
question?
else.
So you
the
weren't
question
listening then?
is,
Is
what,
that
what
yeah?
happens?
That's just weird, dude. Yeah, it's just weird then, isn't it? So I'll ask the question again. When we use the convention of weight, what's the medium which we accept is important to take into account when we're using the convention of weight? What's the medium we accept we're doing this in?
In a laboratory, it is air. The medium around is air, and the weighing
In my
scale
garden.
is put.
If I'm doing it in my garden, what's the medium I'm doing it in? Or my bathroom, because I'm getting on the scales, what's the medium that I'm doing it in?
Is the air.
Okay, so now I'd like to weigh air in the medium of air. Within the convention of weight, which is the relative downward disequilibrium distribution of pressure of any solid or liquid in the medium of air, is it reasonable to think we could apply air and expect a result, or even conform to the convention of weight?
So you said yesterday you understood Avogadro's
That'll be a
postulate, but
yes or a no.
apparently.
That'll be a yes or a no.
So,
'Cause I think that was a
now let me
fairly nicely structured question with a yes or no, very closed way of responding to it.
You
Is it
used a few terms
reasonable?
which I do not
Is it
agree with. Let
reasonable?
me just clarify, Adam. Let me please talk.
No, just
So,
answer my question. I'll ask it again.
my
Is it
God.
reasonable? Is it reasonable, considering what we've learned about the convention of weight, what it is, to be able to expect to weigh something in itself?
To try to understand, Adam, you are taking two containers and
No,
putting
we're not
equal
going back
amount.
to your GCSE
Please,
question. That's a
come
separate
on.
point later that's specific to you, okay? And your point from the other day that you're fixated on. We're trying to, the point of this discussion was the convention of weight and to give a bit of education of that, okay? Not this GCSE question. So I'll ask it again. Is it reasonable to weigh something in itself? If I ask you to go down to the bottom of a swimming pool and weigh me 100 mils of water at the bottom of the swimming pool, would you laugh at me?
You're talking a lot, Adam. Can I please say something?
No, I need you to answer the very closed questions I'm giving you in a closed way.
That's why you're talking a lot. There is a lot. Your question comes with a
No,
lot
I
of
know, but
baggage. I need to
none of it
clarify.
have you responded to. I saw my horse at you when I made a point, and you're not interested in what I'm saying. You want to bring out your GCSE containers. It's not about you. It's about the
Let
convention
me
of weight.
point
This
out
is
the
the point of this
flaw.
discussion.
Let me
So,
point out the flaw in your
Arthur,
assumption. Please let me talk, Adam, now.
no, just
So,
answer the
when you
question,
take
dude.
two,
It's simple.
can I
If
please?
you paid any attention and this conversation is relevant, you can answer the question. Is it reasonable to weigh something in of itself when the convention is its displacement in itself? Is that reasonable way? Is that how weight works?
Let me just tell you what I
Shame on you, bro.
understand.
The
Okay.
answer's no.
So
No,
when
it's
you
not.
said,
That is outside of the convention. Arthur, there's no point moving forward if you can grasp this point. You understand what you're about to go is outside of the convention. You've not been able to define weight. I've just given you very clear, concise explanation
let
of
me
it,
just
how we
say
use it.
and then
And
point out where
you
I'm going outside the convention.
oh
Please
my
point out where
God,
I'm going outside the
answer
convention.
the question. Can you weigh something in the medium of itself? And then I'll be quiet. All I need is a yes or a no. But you at least should afford me that.
Yes.
Yes, you can. I'll leave it to
So
everybody
can I
else
move forward?
at that
Can I
point. But
move forward now?
you're
Why I
making the
said yes?
claim
Why I
that
said
it's
yes?
reasonable to weigh something in the medium of itself.
Can I explain why I said yes?
You really shouldn't. You should just
Oh,
change your answer to no.
okay, let me uh, just hear me out.
No,
So
you should just
when you
change your answer to no.
oh my God. Are you going to allow me, Adam?
We get it. You put two of those stupid things on a scale. They registered a different weight. Well, did you weigh the containers separate with air in them before you did? Well, guess what? Yeah, the helium
Yeah.
one, it's going to register less than the original weight. Yeah. So
Thank
it's not
you.
you can't weigh it. You might have a disequilibrium slightly, but you're not going to get like a direct linear value based weight out of it. You can't effectively weight the actual weight. You might see a slight pressure differential, right? It's slightly different, but that's it. You can't actually weigh it and get the correct numerical value out of it like that. And that's the point.
Wicked, Owen.
It's kind of really far off from what I was talking about the clouds, but it's okay. Maybe it's the same principle.
On another note, guys, we got a shy guy in here, or a girl, I don't know who it is, dancing with fools. He's got a lot to say on the text, and he was asking me why does he have to text. I'm like, why not speak on the microphone? He has something to say to Adam too, whom he addressed in text, and I've answered as much as I can. But he seems to be a supporter of whatever Dell has been saying, and he feels that we have misconstrued and we can't find a timestamp, etc. That Mr. Dell actually said the Earth is accelerating or moving at all. And then when I said to him, "Well, it's not moving," and I said it's ridiculous. He said, "Well, why is it ridiculous?" So he's holding a long conversation on the text, and I don't really have time to go through the text. And I think it's more efficient that he gets on the mic and says something, unless he doesn't have a tongue, or he's hoarse, or he's a mute.
Are you
It's all on
poking
you,
the
big
bear, or
smooth
is he
fools.
here, D-Rose?
Excuse me?
I said, are you poking the bear, or is he here to speak?
He's poking the bear. He's been poking the bear all through the
You're a
text.
little bear poker. Well, I say, if he understands what Dell's proposing,
no, don't speak for him. Don't speak for him. Like he told me, don't
and
speak for Dell.
let
He
me
told
finish.
He's not
everybody, don't speak
speaking
for
for
Dell.
him. Listen to what Adam's saying. Go ahead, Adam.
If he thinks he understands and he's happy to, if he's happy to speak for Dell, or at least propose his understanding of what he's garnered from Dell's explanations, then bring it on, because we gave an honest appraisal of the best understanding we could get. So if he could come on and enlighten us in some way, that'd be fantastic.
Thank you for rephrasing that. Thank you.
The mic is all his.
He's not unmuting. Dances with fools. Unmute yourself and talk. Floor is yours, bro. Take it.
Water's warm. No sharks.
You might get bit, but try it out.
Nah, we'll be nice to you, man. Just if you can clarify certain things, that's fine. Go ahead.
Just might be a keyboard warrior, maybe.
Or maybe he doesn't know how to get his mic working.
Maybe.
Well, D-Rose is trying to get the after show to finish.
I don't think, Adam, that you actually answered my question earlier, to be honest. Like, I'm still waiting for it.
Well, if like I said, if it's a meteorology question, then you're in the wrong place. Okay.
No, Adam, you misunderstood what he was asking.
Well, let's have it again, because we've been on a hell of a journey since that first question, so I can't remember it.
Give me a moment. I'm going to have to leave. So let me answer it, right? Temperature causes the water, right, to evaporate. Right? When it evaporates as water vapor, which is a gas that's less dense than air. When it raises to a certain point in the sky, when the temperature is correct, it starts to condense into clouds, which is condensed water vapor. When it becomes dense enough, it turns into water, and then it comes back down. So it's all based on density. So there's no weight up there. There's only weight in the water that has condensed enough to become water, when the vapor has become water. Until then, there's no weight.
Right.
I think that's brilliant.
My question was, my question was, how are they able to calculate from 100 miles away? How are they able to calculate that an X amount of water is going to be built up in the cloud when the Doppler radar is already registering how much water is in them, at a great distance?
I told you that.
They estimated based on the volume of it,
molar
and
approximation,
based on references with the past.
Exactly.
How much dust come out of a cloud roughly this size, right? How thick is it?
Exactly.
All that.
It's not science we're talking here. It's not cause and effect. It's predicting based on the past, a lot of it. Yeah. So if I've got a previous cloud, you know what I mean? Blah, 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 blah. It's only, is the weather right exactly the next day? Never. So it's only just a kind of pseudo presentation of educated guesses based on the past and on a bit of stuff. And if the bit you're fixating on is the weight of water as they end up describing it, Do you understand the
Yeah, well,
journey that they have to do in terms of calculations to turn that into a description of weight? And weight has no relation to those big fluffy things in the sky. Yeah, you
well,
can't define them in terms of weight. So only, as Brian says, when they turn to liquid and they're on the ground, you can weigh them.
okay. So hear me out. Hear me out. So when they do the Doppler radar, right, and then they have a colorful diagram, and they realize, or at least they present themselves to show how when a storm cloud is a darker green, then that represents a certain amount of water in that cloud, and it could get lighter on the outskirts of it. So it's like it's not as dark. It might get to be a lighter green. But what I'm saying is that in that little graphic they show, it seems like they are actually registering or calculating, maybe is a better word, of how much water is in that I don't want to say circuit. Maybe it is a circuit though, but because when they show a dark color, it signifies the amount of water already in that cloud, because that's how they're gauging it. But what my question is if you have a dark cloud which represents water already in it to even register this color, then how does that water stay up in it and not fall down? Obviously,
The darkness is not due to water. That's not due to water. That's due to tiny amounts of dust that's brought up by convection. It's not water.
It's not if green then rain. These are just
but it does though.
But
Actually, it kind of does.
Look, clouds are micro droplets, and for some reason, I don't know exactly why, but when they form, it's like mist, right? Mist just hangs around. It doesn't fall down, even though they are micro droplets. If you walk through them, you'll get wet. But it hangs.
Right.
This is just a special state of water, micro droplets.
If green, then rain.
Yeah, right, exactly. So like there's parts of the storm that's like yellow, and that yellow represents maybe like a mist, like you're talking about, Arwen. Maybe the yellow part is just a mist, but the darker the green gets on their little cool graphic, it's representing the volume, which is maybe thicker, and that would represent an actual cluster of these water particles, to make it even that description in their graphic. But my
shit,
question
man.
is,
I think it's just based
What
on
time are we talking about here?
It's just water per volume estimation. That's rough. That's what that is.
It's meteorology, okay? It's nothing to do with anything. What we're discussing now is just solely that. How they come to the conclusion that nice looking bloke with a sharp suit tells you at 6 o'clock what the weather's going to be tomorrow. And it's still wrong, yeah? But this is how they come to their wrong conclusion. This is not science. This has nothing to do with science. At best, yeah, it's predictive based on past events, as Arwen said earlier. But as for the rest of it, it's solely meteorology, which is not science. Okay.
With that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!